to the sign up page for the watch list. All you need is an email address, and then it comes right to your inbox every single day with everything you need to know on it in the pre-market. Let's go to semiconductors to kick things off here. Taiwan Semi, TSM coming through. I see double of Sharif.
That's okay.
Taiwan Semi coming through with better than expected results here this morning. 1.5% for NVIDIA as a result. The entire group benefiting from this. We'll touch on AMD, however, in a second.
Yeah, AMD got downgraded. Let's talk about Taiwan Semiconductor right now. Amazing report, guys. Profit rose 57% year over year. Revenue 38.8% year over year, surpassing estimates both for revenue and income. Look, it's really the high performance computing segment which really contributed. That's kind of AI and 5G. 53% of their Q4 revenue came from that segment. They also have a good amount of demand for mobile chips, specifically for Apple. Their 2024 revenue, an eye-watering $8 billion. They're expecting their AI revenue to continue to move up to double, in fact, in 2025 after already tripling in 2024. Some potential headwinds for Taiwan Semi and the industry as a whole. U.S. restrictions on advanced AI chips and the export bans as well, Brendo, as the trade policy uncertainty as we come into tariffs, possibly soon.
Yeah, very soon. Just around the corner here. Just reading a little more on that PGIM SoFi link up, as you were mentioning. So this is the second round of funding from them. So 525. The initial was 350. So an extra 525 on top of that, guys.
Funny. TSM.
25.
Could we break the high today? And the one thing you're going to notice about TSM in this news is it's actually not NVIDIA or Micron. Obviously, AMD has a downgrade, so that's a different story altogether. Those aren't the names that are up the most on sympathy, and we'll get to those in a second. But for TSM purposes, 222 change is going to be a high of the day. You're diddling a little bit in the middle of the range here. So this is not, it's not at an obvious area on TSM. I don't know that that's the first place I want to go. NVIDIA had a strong day yesterday. Don't want to get too complicated with it. It still obviously has the support down in the low 130s, but you have close Friday, high yesterday, and then also the high on Tuesday. So it's this 136 level, kind of like a grip it and rip it. Like if we dip back into that, just look for the curl end, right? Like look for the mean reversion on NVIDIA off that level. But it's also the CapEx spend with TSM. So they're increasing by a wide amount, the amount of spending. Of course, that's going to mean that the guys who make the things that make the chips, that's who they're spending on. So Lam is going to be up, and AMAT's going to be up, and ASML is going to be up on this, all significantly more than the other chip names. So yeah, AMAT, 4.5 points here. Kind of a local high break, and gap has already happened. So kind of eyeballing this 183 other high in here for the most recent dip buy in a prior resistance on AMAT. The other play that I've actually haven't traded Lam since it's had a reverse split, which isn't reflected on our chart, but it does set up for an $80 breakout, about $1 away. When I look at it, there's pretty much there's no volume pre-market on Lam. Maybe when I would come to a little bit later, it's AMAT that I want to go for the dip by, that 183 level setting up in addition to NVIDIA. So that's a bit of a change from the normal. And I guess we'll talk about AMD in its own category later, unfortunately.
So, look, I mean, some good levels there on TSM. I have it written down today on the note as well. I really like this 215 dip buy area. Every time we have an earnings report, we talk about play the gap into VWAP. So when we wrote this, it was around, those levels, 214, 215. You've now edged up into 216. So that's probably the new 215 right now for me, in and around here. So I think this is a good start, the day. Let's wait to see, though. It's not something, in my opinion anyways, from what we've looked at, where you stand in front of it and take it. If you're going to take 100 shares, let's just say that's your full default, then yeah, when it falls in here, you could buy 20, 25 shares, see what happens in and around VWAP, which would be 216. But there still is a potential for this name, obviously, to dip back into the support of the pre-market low, which is 215. So to me, that's a much better area. And then because it's earnings and because it can gap up and it's a $200 name, I feel pretty good about holding this until 213 bottom. So I think it's $2 or $3 worth of risk on the downside in order to get a much, much bigger break and potential go. Like yesterday we had, I can't remember what it was. We had 406s in Tesla. It went to 427 or 428 at the close. Like that's $20. You know, this name could go 10. It could break through. Like you get long 215, this thing could be at 225, right? I mean, 223 is that high. So let's see what winds up happening. I think it's worth the hold. I think it's, if you get a great price, probably something to hold on. And there's the break right now of 218. So I don't know. We wrote that down earlier. Looks like that 218 broke already on us, just as the sticky note or just as we went live on air. So I would say now your new high of 219. I'm almost waiting for 220 at this point then. So I would say take the 220 break long or play dips into VWAP using 215 as support. So whenever you guide higher, guys, I mean, I feel like that's the medicine this term.
The golden ticket.
Yeah, because what we've done in the past is the past. Yeah. We've seen stocks have a brutal quarter, but then guide forward and the stock is rocket, you know, because all we're paying for is future value. We're not paying for past performance. And what you can do is you can extrapolate. You already use Lam Research and different things like that. If Taiwan Semi is going to have a good quarter, well, what does that mean for ASML? What does that mean for some of the parts that are involved in the game, right? And so that's what we're leading into. That's why the market, I'm bullish today, because I think there's going to be some more flow through with a quarter like this and with positive bank earnings again. So, and speak of the devil.
Here we go.
I wonder where do you think, where did that saying come from?
You know what?
Is it a
that one? I have no idea.
Literature? Is it?
I'm looking over at Adara because usually she's the one that knows things like this.
So. She probably already. Nobody knows. Okay.
Well, let's just ask.
Well, speak of the devil. All right, let's go back over to the desk and let's hear more about bank earnings.
Yeah, following up big day yesterday for all of these, we get more today. Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, to name a few here. Here's Morgan up 2.25. BAC not quite as much. Actually, yeah, on the way back down. We were higher initially on that report, so a little bit of a reversal there for BAC. But as I was mentioning, I mean, they all benefited yesterday from the huge reports that we had. For the most part, a beat here for all of these.
Yeah, it was. Let's talk about Bank of America first. Profit rose 47% year over year, with revenue increasing 15%. The reason profit's so wide is because they don't have that significant one-off charge that they had in 2023. The increase in revenue came from investment banking and asset management. They also had better trading results. With respect to Morgan Stanley, this was a significant beat here, Ram. Earnings, $2.22 per share, significantly exceeding the 170. Revenue, $16.22 billion, surpassing 15.3 or 15.03 billion. The higher market values, inflated management fees contributed to wealth growth, and investment banking activity rose 29% year over year. Somebody's doing something right over there.
It tends to be a theme after what we saw yesterday with these as well. But unfortunately, 2 days in a row here, guys, price action not terribly exciting so far.
You know, but it wasn't, look, if you looked at Goldman yesterday, and look, why, we said this already, why Morgan Stanley's up 2.5%, not 5 or 6, or something a little bit better. Part of it is the run that it made yesterday, gapping up because of, you can pick your poison, and all the banks that reported yesterday were up. Goldman had a power move. All of the same things about it being sleepy in the morning, you could say that about Goldman, and then even after you open, it looked like you were just gapping too high. It held that $600 level and gave you some continuation. So that's what I look for with Morgan Stanley today. I just look at this, as long as it holds above the prior close, that's it. But when you always have the morning conference call and the liquidity at the open is the real money coming in, not the 500,000 pre-market light volume that you see. You saw the ramp that Goldman made, and then it came back and held that VWAP. So as long as we're upward trending, that's what I want to look for in Morgan Stanley. This is not I will trade it at 9:30. The banks, when they report in the morning, are never a 9:30 trade. I think it's something that you come back to a little bit later. So we already mentioned Robinhood, so no need to go over that one again, but that's going to be on the radar, Morgan Stanley as well. I do think this has a very good chance of getting up to its 52-week high today, but it's got a whole 131 at the open. It doesn't matter that the earnings were good. What the market decides to do with that after.
I was just looking at the ARKQ.
Oh, by the way, it's a medieval saying. It's not even interesting. Like it's just from the British Middle Ages.
Oh, okay,
Like it was
okay,
believed that mentioning the devil's name would summon him. So it's like the phrase was "Speak of the devil, and he doth appear."
Right. Okay.
I thought it was something a little more
That's pretty cool.
juicy
though.
than that.
Yeah, I guess it's not super juicy. All right. So we talked about yesterday we just talked about some of the plays today. What about a day two play? Citigroup kind of flat right now. Possible dip by opportunities. We always like the 200 period moving average. That would be at 76.50. I mean, if we do come down, that 77.50 is the breakdown low on Citigroup. I like it. I like the trade back into 77 again. That was a level yesterday that we had talked about. It did do that sort of like under, then way over, and then bounced off of it again. So 77 there for Citigroup is a play for me. And then JP Morgan load was something similar yesterday off the open. We sort of just made a move down initially. It didn't get to VWAP. I remember it went to the 50 period. Then it came back, then went. So here again, you're basing out down here at 249. Whether or not we get to that level, who knows? But this is another great opportunity as we continue to ride the 200 period here on JP Morgan. So yeah, 249, 250, great buy area for JPM. And as you can see, the stock is right here right now. So if we get a little bit of an imbalance rock here as we're going to get them at 925 with the NASDAQ, and we have some, I don't know, it's predominantly buys on this side, but there's JP Morgan right here with a sell. There's Uber with a bid. What's Uber's price these days? $67. Okay, they had a nice rebound yesterday, I guess. There's TSM we talked about. And then QBTS has been on every day near the highs. So again, doing over 20 million shares. I mean, 1 million is not going to be the end of the world. Oklo, another name in the quantum space as well. So we'll get to quantum as our fifth note. But right now, let's go talk some crypto.
Yeah, not much to deal with as far as headlines this morning in the crypto world. Coinbase specifically, however, has relaunched Bitcoin-backed loans for users. That was just a couple of minutes ago for Coin. Didn't really do much on that, but huge day yesterday with Bitcoin up massively yesterday. Bitcoin itself actually slightly red, about 1% right now, but still holding essentially most of the gain from yesterday.
So we've been hearing a lot about the strategic reserve possibly being accumulated there by the U.S. government under Donald Trump's new administration. Yesterday, his pick for U.S. Treasury Department, Scott Bessent, basically made it very clear that he wants to focus on the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency. Not really saying that conflicts too much with Bitcoin, but kind of a bit of a shift in possible priorities here for the administration. We'll see how Bitcoin trades today, locked in 100,000, 90,000.
Yeah, I think next week is going to be pretty exciting for this entire market, guys.
Yeah, I'll say. Well, I mean, it's already pretty exciting, right? Like, you don't have to wait for next week for the excitement. You broke 100,000. Of course, we didn't close and hold 100,000 on Bitcoin. I think that's disappointing. That we had a really good base with that failed break at 99K to head upside. I know we were looking at MSTR in the afternoon yesterday because it was breaking. It basically just took its high at the same time as Bitcoin took 100,000 the second time. So that was a very unique sort of breakout setup. But Mara is on the verge of breaking a trend here. So if you just kind of look at the last high back in November. Now remember, this entire time, Bitcoin's been holding the top end of the range, and Mara has been finding itself into a bottom. So if it's made a temporary low and breaks the trend, pretty simple. Like this is 1865 when you go into a 15-minute chart here. It's about 1865 or just slightly underneath that sets up this resistance spot. If you break out above this, obviously Bitcoin's going to probably need to take 100,000 for that and hold on to strength. That goes without saying, but I think there's a lot of room for it to run. If we hold underneath 100,000, then that's the zone that I would play regressions on. So that's, actually had a line drawn here for myself, but that's the line I'm working with, 1865 on MARA. That's what I'll be watching. Of course, do I want to break out in Mara if Bitcoin is tanking? Of course not. In that case, it's underneath resistance. I would look to go short. So I'm going to have IBIT up. I'll spot Bitcoin, IBIT as well up so we can make sure we're in the right direction. But that's the over-under, 1865 on Mara. Like that trend test that you've got on the daily chart right now.
Yeah, I have very similar ideas here with IBIT if I go over here and check this out. We have written down here 56 dip buys into yesterday's support, BTC, watch out for 100K. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious talk here as we go. There's some, If I'm looking at a New York stock, sometimes like when I switch it over, it doesn't happen right away. All right, so again, same story, right? Same story, different chart, really. It's just here's that 56 bottom. So it's like I try to be as simple as possible with some of the ideas, as you guys can see. And it's just like this has been support. You go back here, you know, not that there's much there, but that was the bottom back on the 6th when we opened up, blasted that off there. So I kind of just like some of these points. So that's going to coincide with, as Neil was saying, probably like that 98.5, 98.4, something like that area. So if we dip by into those levels, I'm there for IBIT. Yesterday we had a killer, like an absolute banger of a trade in the afternoon when we took that dip buy. When it broke through 100K, it came right back to the 50 period right there, then ripped into the afternoon. So I don't even understand why, actually. Wait a second here. Where was yesterday? Yesterday was right into here. So there's the dip buy. What time was it? Oh, right into here, right. Well, yeah, because it wasn't the 50 period at that time. So there was the dip buy there into the 50 period at 2:30. That's when it was. And then there's the move up. So we had that dip buy. So it broke 100 right here at about 56.70, came back in, went up, then fell into these levels again. So perfect. So 56.20 is probably where we hover around. I think if you're pretty bullish on it, you go long there. I'm going to let it come into 56, understanding that the 200 period really is 85 or so. I'm out of this trade. Probably if we break, like I want to give it a little bit of room. So maybe in and around here somewhere, 55.50 or so, and then we'll see about accumulation areas around 55 flat. So, all right, IBIT, love the dip buy opportunity here. I think the market goes higher. We talked about that today. You guys are asking for my opinion. I'll talk about the TQs in a minute, but I've said already every single idea on here is long. So I'm in that camp here, and as you can see, green, 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 green. So all these names here, we're looking long today. Early on the market.
Quickly before we go back to the desk, Chris, thank you for the super chat. 420, appreciate you. Maybe 420 isn't the level on BBAI, Big Bear AI, with a new CEO. Thank you so much for that, Chris. But here's what's sort of obvious with it. There's your support at $4. There's your resistance already at $4. Now I haven't really paid for locates on it. It's a bit of a reversion on the daily chart. You can see there's already some stacking of selling underneath that $4 level. So it's got some things it needs to chew through. Somebody is, well, I don't need to tell you, you can see what's happening at $3.80. Every now and then off the open, I haven't done any work on this stock, but every now and then you break something like this, and it's just an easy scalp trade off of the open. Something similar happened on FTAI just a few minutes ago, where it was just stacked on the offer. That's that stock with the short seller report yesterday. Stacked on the offer at like 120.60, and then the second it broke, it just trended to the upside. So that's what I'd watch for on BBAI. But let's talk about the chip name that isn't doing well. Sorry, one of the chip names that isn't doing well.
Oh no, I didn't even look at AMD today.
Yeah, back to green here for AMD at least, 0.17 right now to the upside. That's a daily chart, so everybody has a good idea of trend is definitely down still at this point. We're just taking back 120. For AMD was Wolf this morning with a downgrade to quote unquote peer perform?
Yeah, I like these.
Outperform.
I like these categories. Each one's got their own unique one, Brendo. 2025 revenue estimate being markedly guided down from $33.6 billion down to $29.9 billion. Earnings per share also taking a hit from $5.33 down to $4.19. These are projections by Wolf. They're also forecasting down for their data center. That's basically another word of saying, or another way of saying their AI revenue. So they're forecasting that down from $10 billion down to $7 billion. The revisions follow the ODM build plans in Asia, indicating modest growth. Analysts expect AMD to withhold guidance on their earnings call next month, I believe, for data center GPU. So they're saying it's so bad that they're not going to guide for it. They're also saying there's challenges in the PC segment. They're expecting a 17% decline. Gaming segment, they're expecting a 20% drop. So kind of bleak here from Wolf.
Yeah, continuing to try to find some levels here, guys, for AMD. What are you looking at?
Okay, so I know we looked at NVIDIA and TSM, obviously, and some AMAT, but Wolf downgraded Lam yesterday. Lam's not doing too bad. So, and on top of that, AMD was strong yesterday, and somebody was accumulating shares up at $120. Like, it just sat there when the market kept on going higher, and AMD was trying to drop because it wasn't breaking when the market was breaking up. And look at it just anchored to 120 bucks. It's doing the same thing in the pre-market. Intel's doing the same thing at some of these levels. So I think, it's obviously a stock where if we turn around, I'd look for some breakdowns underneath the 120 level, but I'm not chomping at the bit after what we saw with the pick that Wolf Research made yesterday on LRCX. It is what it is.
Hard to
Hard
to get hungry like the wolf when they're making plays.
I actually like Duran Duran.
That's
pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I think, very, very famous band. Okay, so here we go. I like NVIDIA still. So yesterday, it was a banger of a trade. We talked about actually taking it right, in the face basically at the beginning, right there as it broke through 132, then bought it back and able to hold it through all this. So the fact that we were able to buy it and it came back in, great. I'm expecting a little bit of a dip buy opportunity again as well. 137.50, if that comes through, then I want to be there for that. That's the 200 period moving average. Like that was just a little excitement there off the open yesterday as we gave back some of that CPI number, only to see what the market did at the end of it all. So I still like the long. If we like the long, I'm going to try to test VWAP again there. Outpacing the market by 1% right now or more is NVIDIA. The imbalances are now out, so we can have a quick little look to see what they're saying right now. There's Rigetti, so they come out on the NASDAQ right now as well. WN, so there's really no major NASDAQ name. There's Google here as a bid. That's been having problems at 195, 196. That could be something. I just saw Apple on here as well as a sell. So we only have only 3 more minutes left before the bell. So we're going to get back over the desk. But not much happening here early on the imbalance locator. And I'm dip buying NVIDIA. I'm bidding 138.
Around for a few things here. Rigetti, as we saw, a buy imbalance, but downside right now, we're now red significantly. Was up better part of 3% along with the rest of this group. Even when we were talking to Luis there a couple of minutes ago, it was still in positive territory. So quick reversal after, the volatility in these has just been crazy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially after yesterday when Jensen, we found out that NVIDIA was investing in quantum, despite what Jensen said a week earlier. They're hiring people as well for their quantum division. In addition to that, Microsoft came out yesterday and told their business segment clients to be quantum ready in 2025. They're also looking to invest heavily in that. So we'll have to see how the space ends up panning out. But you got QUBT still up 9%, trying to hold yesterday's close at around 1150, Brendan.
Yeah, all of these had huge moves after the close yesterday, which produced some of this gap. But this is the one to look at, I guess, right now, guys.
Yeah, I think you pick your poison. IonQ, I think, is a little bit different. It had a great day, but usually it's a little bit more stable. I'm looking at QBTS, D-Wave again. 675 never broke yesterday, so if you can't make this for the breakout, it's a pop and fade. It was kind of weak in yesterday's trade, and once it fell through 570, that's where the best shorts were. So I'd probably watch that level for any kind of a bounce, and then look for a pop and fade in QBTS. Be remiss if we didn't point out that DJT is tracking through the high here. No imbalance, no story that I heard of here, but DJT just took out 42, took out yesterday's high. It's got 43.35 up top for a bit of a resistance level on the daily chart, their local resistance level on DJT. A few days before, obviously, the inauguration, it probably doesn't need a story to get going, and it is making a move.
All right, well, I told you first position's now in. I told you we were bidding Apple 237. So there it is on the sticky note, Apple 237. I take out 5% up there at 237 right here, 30s. So we get in at 05. I was in and then instantly offered that out. I am offering another 5% up here at 50s. So if we break through 50, then I'll get another piece out. We'll take 50 cents early before this market even opens if we can on a light piece. So it's just a nice start to the day. We'll buy ourselves a, maybe a matcha or something with the profit so far. And we'll see if it continues to go higher, though. We'll see if we can buy a little bit more than that. 238.45 is a 200 period. Let's see if the market wants to be weak here or not. Crypto is starting to go back up to the upside. Come on, Apple. Just give me those 50s and we don't have to worry about it. 99.350 right now for IBIT, for BTC. We'll have to have a quick look at Tesla because it's going to be another name of interest for me here as well. Falling into 417 is my bid. What am I bidding? I'm bidding Tesla 417. I'm bidding SoFi as well. But I feel like this move, I'll just pull back in a little bit as well. So far I'm bidding 50s, Tesla, iBit, Apple, NVIDIA. That's it.
Yeah, NVIDIA and Robinhood for myself. QBTS, we'll see what happens. Oh, AMAT, of course.
Nice.
We talked about that one. For the first time in a while. Ooh, that was a little responsive. It's going to be 1 second early there, Adara. But we are locked and loaded on this Thursday. Ring that bell in actually 3, 2, and 1. Ring it.
All right, welcome to the jungle. We just get that fill there on Apple, so that was a big one there on AAPL as we get our 50 level there. So we'll take 50 cents early on Apple. I do have another offer up at 238 in case that goes. There's NVIDIA. Merry Christmas, man. That came real quick. Now we're long to NVIDIA. Remember we said the fall in this name is very, very possible, and we are well prepared for this because we have our levels written down, not on the sticky note, but in our head right there, what we talked about where we wanted this name to come in through. So watch out for 136 and change on NVIDIA. We're long right here, right now, 137.80.
And NASDAQ just made a big move and came back in there a little bit. AMAT's not moving yet, so probably not going to be too concerned with that. Hood did come into 45 1/3. Like right dipped in, like dropped like about 70 cents, popped back into the $0.50. VWAP's going to be way too high up in here. So trying to get a reload if we can up near that or down near that 45 level.
All
Tesla's
right.
coming down in. QBTS. No quantum bounce in this name as that's headed to the downside.
Oh boy, Neil.
What's up?
Oh boy. Right now, let's just wait on it and see. But we almost have a nice dollar now in the money. This is a monster trade. Let's just keep on getting some out here on this trade. Boy, oh boy, did we get that level there on NVIDIA. And man, did we nail that. This is a monster here for me right now. 80 cents in the money on a big boy piece. This is the best part about having good days is now you get that confidence. Now you're putting on more shares. We talked about yes. Okay. Neil, it's 9:31. We said we'd be doing this 1.5 times day goal right here on the very first trade. But we got to get out still. We need to get out more shares on this trade. We are out of about 65%. Let's punch some more out. Oh boy. That was good. All right. There it is, man. That was a great trade on NVIDIA. We buy that dip, and we talked about those levels. As soon as it came in, we're like, let's get some more there on NVIDIA. Good trade. All right,
Roberto WW emotional damage. That's what you got to try to do. Put the damage on the market. Just quickly over here. I'm only in one long. We're going to step it up a little bit here on Robinhood. If we hold 45.5, we're going to start loading back into it. It just tagged VWAP. It did get close to 46 without breaking. The other thing that's happening is D-Wave is not abating whatsoever. There's not seeming like not a bounce. Yesterday I played an over-under at 6. Today I thought the short was going to be a lot higher. Let's play a little bit of patience game, but somebody is accumulating at that $6 again on D-Waves. We'll look at the price action. I think we break away from this. You could have a pretty upsized move. Still looking good on Robinhood. Would like to be able to buy some higher and add to it, but we could end up with just a top breakout to add to that position. AMAT it's up, but not a lot of liquidity off of the open, so might have to be a little bit cautious. Oh, shoot, that penny stock halted.
Oh, no.
BMRA, this was a miss. That's a miss. BMRA, that penny stock, bounces off $1 exactly, holds it to the upside at 118. You're going to throw this up on the side. If it opens up higher and does any kind of a dip back in that allows you to play off the $1 level, that should be worth it. Robinhood now at 46, continuing to track higher. Still looking for that little bit of a dip to be able to add back in and then see if we can carry this one through. 52 weeks highs
Look
here
at the market,
for Robinhood. But the market's coming down. That's what's weird to me. The NASDAQ's coming down in and Hood is breaking it out. Yeah, the NASDAQ could go red here.
Guys, you guys want to talk about emotional damage? We didn't even talk about the dollar winner on Apple. We got out at 238 flat right there again. So, yeah, I mean, today is that day again for us here. Nice move as now comes Apple right back in. So watch out for these levels. We didn't have many shares, so we covered it right there. But I didn't even realize what exactly this market was doing, coming right back in now into 21.4, hitting those pre-market lows and trying to think about it right now. So we talked about like getting lighter and lighter on these positions. Let me take one more piece out here on NVIDIA. I do have a 138 level, obviously sitting there as well. We'll take some out in the 80s as the market just continues to bleed down a little bit. So let's get less and less excited about these shares. It's just the whole market at whole. Apple now trying to fall in. I don't know. I got to still watch out for NVIDIA because
Meta's above VWAP at 610.
very strange,
Tesla.
Oh, Tesla?
Yeah, Tesla. That's at 417. Okay, where's the reversion?
Where's my bid? It's not there yet, is it? I'm at 417.
Okay, 413. I have a support at 413. That's really far to the downside. Just one other name, because Mara's starting to make a bit of a breakout. I have a trail on Hood. If the market continues down, if Hood can't hold that high breakout, it's an all-time high break. You fail an all-time high break in the opening range, I want to take the profit. But all of a sudden, Mara's looking like it's trying to hold this break, and Bitcoin's back above 99. So that was the other name that we're looking to get into. Come on, Mara. Make that move, close that 25, and see if we can grab that long. But Hood is just teetering at that all-time high 46 breakout. Let's see if it can hold on to it. Wasn't able to get the ad at 45.5, but we're going to hang on to that trade and look for this Mara entry. I like the fact that we're headed back in with the market down.
Oh, boy.
Crypto is headed right back up above that 99,000 level. So let's see if we can weasel our way into some Mara.
Get it, Neil. This is like Apple goes right into our level of 236. This is the sticky note number one trade idea right there. We go long, and now we are cashing out again on this level. 236 long right now on Apple as we just go, gadget, go to the upside here. Let's see if we can go now. I mean, we've got it. We've got the Apple spot that we like. We like this long down there at 236. We take the 235. We wait very, very patiently, guys, to grab this level. It does break it down to 95s. We had the long after that. We waited for it with the market crashing in. Let's wait. Let's make sure we're right. It's now $1 right there on that side. So Mara over here, NVIDIA, $1 in the money. Apple trying to get there as well. Let's go over see what Adair is up to.
XPeng is certainly to the upside here.
Wow.
XPEV, and it's also outperforming NEO too. So XPeng here about 7%. I could not find a catalyst on this. It's about 5.8% short float, and they're even breaking new high of days. That thing with XPeng that's worth noting is a couple days ago, back on Tuesday, they did announce a collaboration here with BP Pulse. So that would be the charging side of the British oil company BP. So just be aware of that. XPEV though, strong regardless, guys. Back to you.
I never trust moves in that stock, so nothing against XPeng. I just never trust those gaps to the upside. AMAT is, the market is still coming back in a little bit here, so AMAT is tracking towards that 183, already one bounce. Robinhood, we wicked out at 46. It's right at yesterday's high. We're going to do two things at once here. This is Hood, yesterday's high. I grabbed the out at 46, 45.30 to 46. The top is 46 quarters. So if we fail or do any kind of a pullback, we're going long off of VWAP in Robinhood. But here comes that AMAT into 183. Needs to hold that bottom. You're seeing some strength in the market. I look over, TSM's going up, and AMAT is coming down. So got to be a little bit more patient with this. I don't want to catch a falling knife, rather catch it on a bit of a rounded bottom and a bounce. So we're going to be a bit more patient with AMAT instead of just jumping on that sword. All right, here comes VWAP potentially on Robinhood. That's at 45.85. Market's still looking weak, however.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Very weak.
Yeah, we are, like I said, we're having a day, but I'm also getting out right now as some of these plays just start fading back out a little bit. Like, look at this. We just got out up here at 138.40, then had to punch a little bit more out as we come back into these levels. Look, it's still 40, 50 cent winners, but if this bottom doesn't hold, then we're right back into there again. So now let's give it that one last shot to see if it can go now. I mean, we just retested down at that bottom again, so we'll give that a shot and see if we hold one more time. Remember where our outs are. 137 break, we're out of NVIDIA. We already have that order in. Our stop is 136.99. So pretty much 40, 50 cents worth of risk. So we're in the 1-to-1 right now. And then Apple, let's go. We have an offer up here at 98s or so to get out, but this is not a bad bump. Let me just put a piece out right here, 64, 65. We'll take some more outs. Oh no, we just missed us. We'll take some more outs if it comes back up into that area. But let's just wait. Our stop is 235. Our stop is 235 on Apple and 136 on NVIDIA. So, yeah, some interesting plays developing here early as the bottom maybe is in. We are bidding, and when you said Tesla's coming down to 417, we're bidding 417.25. It gets as low as 418.25. So that trade could possibly come in as well. I'm surprised though now, right? Like as you had mentioned before, like the market's coming back in, and right now the market's spinning to the upside
now
here.
It's bouncing.
And yeah, so we have to wait for what stocks are bouncing because it's definitely not Tesla right now. Could it be Nvidia going through the 138 again? So far, so good over here. We've got some big bangers on board here. 2 for 2 today.
Yeah, only in 2 names right now. Mara, well, we're out of Robinhood, but it's still holding 46. We just jumped into Mara, and I'm now bidding on AMAT. Look, AMAT did the move that we wanted. It dipped, held 183. Now you're getting a bit of a higher low. Yeah, Daryl would like to stock it. Is very spready on AMAT. No questions asked. So a bit of a wide spread here on AMAT as we just tried to get the break of the prior bar high. No fill, but I'll sit and wait for it. I think with AMAT, you got to give it some room. I think you get to 190 today on a big move, and 187 is the high, so you got to risk it back into 183. Mara is continuing to go. Bitcoin's underneath 99.
Okay.
Make assumptions, and you make a you-know-what out of you and me. So when I saw Mara popping through the high of the day, my general assumption was that Bitcoin was actually going up in that moment. But when I looked over, I saw we're at 98.9, and you track over to IBIT, and it's underneath VWAP.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, the fact that it's even working out here on Mara, I like that fact. But that 1865
Fact, Jack.
rule says that's a resistance level and a short level as long as Bitcoin is not breaking out. So that's going to be the target. We're long here on the high day break into 1860s. We'll be taking this one out for sure. So we got to 22 long. Love that number. We just got some 40s out. We'll wait for it to get to 18.5 and continue to work that long trade as long as it holds. But I'd like Bitcoin to be helping that trade more than it is.
Yeah, so look, I mean, so far this is what we've been doing here on our friend NVIDIA. I mean, it's just now back up into is in today's high here, NVDA. So let's wait to see now what winds up happening here on NVIDIA. I mean, hopefully we get a nice little downside push in the market again. I don't know, 21.4. Could that come through? We're watching it. What I was looking at here, there goes NVIDIA. We just got some more fills at the 50 level, and we just got another fill here on Apple. Apple's the one that we're going to have to wait for. I mean, we are just really just chilling out right now. We did indicate SoFi was a trade that we did want. What? That went to 15.50? Guys, I'm literally bidding 15.50. You know, that hit 15.57 right there. So good move up there for SoFi. We were too busy doing something like this. But at the end of the day, we'll take SoFi, and good call on it, obviously, down there at 15.50, but nice move in. We do have a new position, Neil. It's Tesla, as that just came in as well. So right now, hey, we're doing it again on Tesla. Let's see if we can get some profit out on this name first, though. Nice move upside there on Tesla. Okay, we'll take a 65. We're waiting at 80s as well. If we can get an 80, that'd be great. There it is. We got an 80 as well. So there goes Tesla, Neil. Another 50-cent winner. It is. Another one. And we'll pass it back over to you.
Yeah, this might be the first short of the day coming in for me, and it's going to be Qubits, as it cannot. We said this name needed to try to hold this bid, and the battle is being won here by the sellers. Underneath VWAP, 613 is going to be the top, the local top since the open. I'm going to grab the short just underneath 6, get my stop at 616. All right, I just heard something on Carvana. Oh, come on, we just missed the bid, or missed the offer, actually. Now QBTS really heading into the downside and breaking that low.
Yeah,
so continuing to fall here. Whereas Bitcoin is now at 98.5, so that's really dropping.
Yeah.
Mara, I'm not reloading Mara. We're going to jump out of Mara. Be happy that it went up when it did, but Bitcoin going in the other direction. Yeah, the quantum name's really starting to fall here. Maybe you can catch like a Rigetti a little bit later. Where's Rigetti? Mom Spaghetti, right at the lows. Oh, shoot, I didn't pay for locates. Doesn't matter. Got to go to Qubits.
All right, Tesla still making these moves. We were able to get something out near that 418 as we talked about, but here it comes right back in right now. I'm going to get out of this one if it breaks through 416 to the downside. That's going to be my stop there on Tesla because the market's just not doing things that I can stamp with approval right now as we come all the way back into the lows. I was talking about it coming back into the lows when we were up there at VWAP, and unfortunately that happened, and I do not wish upon that falling star, but right now it is coming back in. So we're not going to reload anything, basically. We did really good, I feel like, anyways, of getting out of NVIDIA. Right now we have about less than 5% left on NVDA with no reload bids out right now. On Apple, we have less than maybe 8% left on Apple, and that's still not in trouble. It's still down here at that 236 level. I think I'm going to buy Apple again here, just because it is just this close. So we can put on a little bit more risk because we are that close to 236. My stop is already in if it does break that level again. So we'll put on some shares here because the risk to reward is just too good not to right now on Apple, in my opinion. So there it is. We'll buy a little bit, dip buy here on Apple, and we'll just try to scalp it out a little bit if we can. We just bought some 16s, so if we get something out up here near the 30s, we'll take that opportunity to do that and just start to stack up here, as the shorts are what's good right now, not long. So we just getting out of them, and we'll put our hands up and see if something wants to go. But what's up, Adara?
Actually couldn't find anything on Carvana CVNA. It's worth noting, though, we're still up 2%, even with that little drop to the downside. I wonder if we know that SMCI actually had a nice pop-up this morning after Hindenburg announced yesterday it would be closing. Hindenburg is, of course, the company with the short report on SMCI, but they also had a recent short report on CVNA, so that could be what initially led to this move up. Regardless, though, I have no news on that push to the downside, guys, for CVNA. Back to you.
I just heard something in my ear, but I guess it was not that big of a deal on Carvana. It was a pretty hefty move to the downside on it regardless, so it looks like it is heading down, but the market headed down anyway, so it's pretty much the same thing that the market did on a reversal. Come on, you can't hit the bid. There's no bid right now on Quantum or QBTS, this D-Wave. I don't want to chase it too far, but it's in that zone, like we're right at that bottom. If we're going to get short, it's got to be in this 575 to 580 range. Okay, here comes, right, I'm on the bid of Tesla here. It's right into this support level. 413 is going to be your bottom support. Even Robinhood's trying to hold 45.3 as well, which is where we have our last bid in front of 45.3. So as Tesla comes down, Robinhood's still in its bull flag, but not for long if we lose that break. If we break the quarters, you could easily retrace $1, maybe even $2 on Robinhood, as strong as it is. All right, now we got some QBTS. So I just sort of sat on the offer. Let it come back into me. I think the play is at least back into 6, so got to give this one a little bit of room to catch its breath. Oh, AMAT as well. AMAT's still holding that higher low, so it's still looking okay on AMAT. I'd be much more inclined to see it catch a nice bid here and try to catch one of these entry points as opposed to on the red, try to grab that long. But holding up rather nicely, I think all things considered, for now is AMAT.
All right, I'm going to wait again. So we did get stopped out there, but basically a cup of coffee. So, but it's still now. We'll have to talk about it. We went long there. We got a bunch out. I mean, we were talking about those 418s and stuff like that there on Tesla. There's a 418.20, 418 flat, and then it dropped through, and we got out on that break of 416. I want to give it a little bit longer than that, like 415.50, basically back into the bottom. But this futures, again, not using big shares here at all. Just know that Tesla and Apple were trades that we looked at, so we liked it. IBIT falls out. We get out of that one, man. IBIT and crypto came right in. We did take the trade. We're back to 1 day. We're at day and a half goal. We've given back half of the day. So now we're at 1 day goal. But right there, 56 in, out right there, 56.75 on the break, 25 cents worth of risk. That's roughly where VWAP was. So that's about the risk to reward there on the 1-to-1. Apple about to come out. If it does break below 236 and change, one more penny lower. If it breaks, anyways, it's going to be out in 10 cents here. That looks like this will send us a little bit lower here on IBIT, on Apple. And then here's the last trade that we tried as well. No more longs after this. We've given it a shot here. It's 9.48. The market definitely pulling back. Friends like Kyle Burdett and company probably really happy with some of the plays that are happening right now. We did not dip by that on Tesla. We made a mistake. We were looking at Apple. We should have been over there on Tesla. So here it goes. Trying to hold out. 415.50 is the bottom for Tesla, and then we stop and we start to look short because the market right now going back to zeros. The NASDAQ is at zeros now. What is the ES? Down as well. So both markets right now down 0.5 and 0.05. So I still think there's room to run back up to the upside if we get lucky. Let's see what Tesla wants to do. Yesterday we saw what it wanted.
It could still go from like a red to green move there on the market.
Apple broke down.
This is the NASDAQ here. It's pretty much where we were, like right at the end of the day. Like you're bouncing off close prices here if you're going to be able to make a bounce. Where is the rest of the data on my Robinhood chart? Oh, there you go. Let me zoom it back out a little bit. Robinhood is trying to make the move back up. It never broke the lows. We just grabbed the higher low there. Morgan Stanley, I know that we didn't talk too much about the banks, but Morgan with their good earnings, that's even tracking lower as we speak. It hasn't gotten to 131, so there hasn't been an entry point for me yet. And then, as I mentioned, AMAT still not looking. It's still holding up, but it has not retested 183 just yet. Robinhood, we're going to track this one, see if we get back into that 46 and break back out the all-time high 46.30 as it continues to go. Tesla's $2 away from my support level, getting real close. And NVIDIA as well, like the deeper level on NVIDIA has now come in, so it's making the reversion play on NVIDIA. Yesterday, my mistake was on NVIDIA was not taking the mean reversion and just sitting on the bid. Like I sat on the bid and then it did the wick, it did a deep wick and then the revert to the upside. So today I wanted to see it actually hold and close back above the trend line, then be able to grab it. We'll see if it can close holding above this 136 and then take the first swing at NVDA.
Yeah, you were just talking about DATS, right? That's starting to move up.
Yeah, I didn't hear the news on
Neither did
that.
I, but that is starting to move a little bit here.
That's what's up, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was like, DATS appearing to move?
It's halted a couple
That's
times,
what's moving?
I think, already.
Those are not great. Okay, so we'll just continue to watch out what's going on. But there goes Dat Chat right here. If Adara has anything on that one, she'll bring it to us again and again and again, as she always does. And thanks, Adara, for all that, man. It's really been adding something to have like that live news desk again. We always had that with Brendo, but working on that, Adara's gained a lot of experience as far as trading is concerned. So definitely great to have analyzing, the recent moves, because Neil and I, we sit here and we do the best that we can. I'll tell you that much. That is for sure. And hard to look at the stock, look at our current positions that we have, like this on Tesla. We just got filled at 418 right there for a big winner there on TSLA, but still needs to come back in a little bit here. So let's wait to see what now happens on Tesla. Watching out for that 418. Was that a call? Sorry. No news yet. Okay,
no news on DATS is the story. So the
that's
story.
not what's up, but the stock price.
Yeah, the story is there is no story.
Yeah, the story
of a lovely lady.
That's okay. Yeah, or
Right,
Brady.
come on,
Either way,
NVIDIA.
I'm down with that. Some people did not like Tom Brady there on what he did the Packers game, didn't he? I heard some. Yeah, I didn't. I don't know. I was listening to. I felt like he was fine. I don't know.
I'm gonna try and bite my tongue.
The thing
on
is,
this,
when you're the
but
GOAT, it's like, why? What's your opinion? What's the difference?
Greg Olson was an unbelievable analyst. Unbelievable, super talented, one of the best guys doing football games. And so he got the boot. The guy got
but so why did someone
fired.
pick him up?
He essentially got fired so Tom Brady could come in. And you consider, obviously, Tom Brady's going to earn a heck of a lot more money than Greg Olson, and they had a good one, and they got rid of the wrong guy. So
Yeah, but no. Why didn't anybody pick up Olson?
Again, I don't know.
I
think Olson's so good. Sharif is telling us that Brady's going to focus on the Raiders, which is probably a good idea because they're absolute crap. So a couple of things happened.
I mean, you're not necessarily.
Okay, a lot is happening. Okay, so AMD and NVIDIA. Well, NVIDIA is at VWAP. We'll get to AMD in a second. We had the short breakdown on Qubits. It just, on D-Wave, it just broke the local high. So we're out and slapped to fail on that one. Remember, we were able yesterday to get it back by being willing to flip. Not instantly flipping on it yet. But if it's going to pull the over, then I got to be willing to play the over. NVIDIA does the mean revert, gets to VWAP. Next step would be to get to 138.5, where you have a bit of a local double top here on NVIDIA. So still a strong day overall for NVIDIA, but that market moved to the downside. Like you really had to weather the storm. And while that was going on, AMAT's starting to make some higher lows as well. So this is starting to go. TSM still looking very strong. The reason why we're looking at chips today is TSM. That's getting back and about above VWAP. So if TSM holds VWAP, NVIDIA holds VWAP, then there's no excuse not to be getting into AMAT finally. It might not be working off 183 anymore, but as we got into NVIDIA, probably missed the chance to get into AMAT, which is fine. AMAT's a very spready stock with the volume not nearly as good as it is over here in NVIDIA.
All right, so we've been picking our poison a little bit here at 418 with NVIDIA. We still do have, and we just got reloaded again. I'm going to take another piece out here at 50 if we can do that. We're only in the money 50 cents, sorry, on Tesla, my bad. We're only in the money 50 cents right now on the name, so it's not like it's, completely, a rock star of a play here right this second. But again, the risk that we're taking on this is probably too much for sort of the reward that we're taking right now. So let's just try to leave it. We've taken out enough profit now to put Tesla back into Greensville because remember, we were roughly flat to red on it once it broke that first time. Now we try to go back up there too. What's up, Randy? Back up now to the upside here on Tesla. So 417 and change. Let's see if it wants to go. I'm here waiting for it. We'll wait on that one. Hey, Randy, what's going on? Dip down there in Tesla. I know that you like Rivian. That's for sure. I'm going to, Randy, I don't mean to just blow you out of here, but I got to trade this name here. 417 and change. I'm long now at 416.50 or so, so I'm going to offer this out 417.30, see if we get a fill. But my break level down is 415. I don't know, Tesla, not that great today, man. Down 2.5% with the market flat. Not a good look here for TSLA as here it goes.
Well, the market's
starting to give some back. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Check that. Both the ES and the NASDAQ just went red again.
Right.
So, I know it was strong. We're not as strong as we were before. And Randy's, you look over at Tesla.
I just got some more out there.
I'm double checking. Rivian's not at the support level, and Rivian's holding
Tesla.
higher lows and above VWAP. Rivian is doing pretty well, relatively speaking. So I think maybe put this on the back burner. I'm still waiting for Tesla closer to 413. I'm not even sure we're going to get it the way it's starting to bounce. But VWAP at NVIDIA, it's just it's right here, and there's someone selling at VWAP. So I think it's made sense to get some out, but you're still battling really heavily here at VWAP to try to get above. The market's not doing it just yet. So we'll have to be very, very patient with it. Let me go back over to Tesla.
So we're $1. So right now, good call there on Tesla. Dollar right now in the money, $1.20, $1.30. We just took $1.40 on Tesla as it went through 418. So we're long at 416.50. So right now our stop is about $1 away. So we have to take it out when it keeps coming up. I mean, this market, Neil, just keeps failing. Trying to go, fail every time. It just went to the bottom, came back up, back in, back up. That's 3 or 4 times that we've wicked out near this bottom and failed to go to the top in the same sort of wicking action.
Should have just shorted AMD.
Yeah, exactly.
AMD 120, every single time here's the rule. The rule is if AMD 120 looks like a short, you should just take it. Because at the open, AMD broke 120 and then went clean to 118.5. And it's unabated. It's this stock, and then I didn't even look at Intel. I just knew it was going to look at the same thing. Of course it looks exactly the same. If we're having a down day, then I got to join something when I didn't have a bunch of short ideas out there. So one of these off of VWAP, gut check tells me probably Intel because it looks a little bit weaker, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm probably going to look for a short over here off VWAP on one of these two names. I think you just have to. It's ridiculous. The stock does not want to catch a bid. AMD does not want to catch a bid. Even here comes Robinhood right back, and I'm trying to buy. Every time I try to get 45.50s, I'm not getting any fills. So I might step up a little bit to the 70s, but I want the opening range to be done at 10 o'clock. And then if 10 o'clock you're still holding these, maybe get a little bit more aggressive on Robinhood. So we're going to get some numbers coming through. That BMRA, that penny stock, went back into that dollar level as well. So worth looking at that if you're watching it, continue to play in it. NVIDIA's holding VWAP. It's starting to look good, but if we do fail the low again, I got to look at some Intel short. I got to look at some AMD short as well. But for now, the longs are still holding up.
Yeah, great trade on NVIDIA there. We just were lucky enough to go get a 418.40 fill on the top side there of Tesla as it's coming back. We're not coming back. Well, it's coming back now, but trying to make some moves here is TSLA, of course, as we wait to see where these moves are coming from. Let's hope the market can bounce off these levels, but there it comes right back in again. So we are in about a third of this position left. I'm going to put another piece out in around 417.50. Maybe we get that, maybe we don't. But this is something that I'm going to try to look at right now on the market is just scalping it out, and let's look for some other positions. What's RGTI doing? If we can have a quick look here at Rigetti maybe and have a quick little gander and see what that's doing, all the way up to 11 and change.
Oh, it's ripping now.
Yeah, that's I was.
Those are going.
Yeah, I was like debating the short, honestly, in these names, and just never was not able to catch it. What about 1150? That was that break spot that we thought about. Oh my God, Neil, it's at $10. $10 was the spot again. We talked about that yesterday. We had this $10 long yesterday. So great trade there. Anybody, sirens up. We don't have it, but sirens up to those that do there on RGTI. Congratulations. We talked about that $10 mark earlier on in the day. I don't know why we were there, why we weren't there. Well, I mean, I know why. I'm sitting here with Tesla, which Tesla could break lower right now, guys. We're right at those levels right here, right now. I am not reloading this. Look at the NASDAQ. Like the fact that both Neil and I are long, I mean, I've been getting out. Tesla will be a tough trade today, trying to catch that long. When if you just flip up at psychology, this is why I'm saying, man, like this is what it's about. You can pick levels, but you're telling me that this doesn't look like a short, like the market is underneath. Why are these me getting out of longs there? I should be not only getting out of longs, I should be reversing short. Bad play for this guy, that is for sure, as there's the break back down below on Tesla. So we're just getting completely washed on these longs, but it's all good. Still a good day. We'll wait to see if it's going. It's a Dara with numbers.
We do have some numbers here. The NAHB housing market index coming a little bit higher than expected, 47 versus 45 expected, but business inventories month over month completely in line with expectations here, 0.1% versus the forecast of 0.1% and the previous print of 0.1%. So just to recap here, slightly stronger than expected NAHB data, but exactly in line business inventories data. And this market is continuing to push to the downside. This looks distinctly different from the action we saw yesterday, with strength across the board from the SPY and the Qs after that CPI data. We have some other stocks in watch here, including SMCI. Interestingly enough here, this actually got a little bit of a pop post-market and then also earlier today after Hindenburg Research, the company that issued a pretty scathing short report on this name back on August 27th, announced they were shutting their doors. We also have this is Morgan Stanley here. Morgan Stanley and BAC, unlike the nice bank rallies we saw yesterday, are pretty tepid today. Both, though, beating here across the board once again. So BAC and MS, despite having strong earnings, are not able to have the rally we saw in some of those banks that reported yesterday, guys. So make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. Back to you.
Yeah, I know we should have been looking at the banks. It's a day two type of play, but obviously we didn't really look at them. You're going to see all of the any longs just came out there, actually off a higher low, but to Sean's point, I saw the selling on VWAP on NVIDIA. Like, I'm watching it. I'm like, okay, we got the curl. I can see them selling VWAP. You can see it in the book. You know, I can see it coming in the air tonight, and that's what was happening.
Yeah.
Until the buyers are going to give you VWAP, then why am I sitting there thinking it's going to be long off that level? Okay, you got to be kidding me. Tesla, were we already there? Okay. Right, so Tesla has now gone almost to that 413. This is not some kind of like a crazy level. This is where it bounced off VWAP yesterday at 11 o'clock. So if it does a mean revert, that would be the spot. I am in that BMRA holding $1. If it goes to penny stock status, I get out of it. Luis made a really good point about how stocks trade differently above and below $1. A lot of times, that's why you like the longs over and try to give it a little bit of a shot there. In a shocking stunt of events, AMD just turned.
Up?
Yeah, if AMD can go up, then I'm just going to go back to...
Can.
I'm going back to first principles.
Look at Tesla.
AMAT's holding VWAP. It's that simple. AMAT's holding VWAP. Why am I not in AMAT?
All right, we have 15 seconds, but right now we have $2 back now. I mean, $1 back here on Tesla. Sorry, that's NVIDIA, my bad. There it is. We did buy some more there on Tesla. What I noticed is that dip just came right in there. 414 was the 200 period moving average. So we'll try it off that. And now it's $1 in the money. Look. Like Neil and I, if you are a skilled trader but lacking capital, unlike us, prop firms offer the opportunity to trade with simulated funds, allowing you to showcase your skills, access account size ranging from 5,000 to, this is a big one, 500,000, and you can start with as little as $20. But with over 500 prop firms out there, how do you possibly know which ones are the best? That's where Prop Firm Match steps in. Prop Firm Match is your go-to platform for finding and comparing only the most esteemed firms with proven track records and consistent long-term payment histories. Access over 4,500 verified reviews, explore payout histories, and discover the best current deals all in one place. We got that QR code right there on your screen, on our screen. Make sure you scan that QR code to visit propfirmmatch.com today and find that perfect match for you. So we want to thank Prop Firm Match. And I think that's, me and Neil have talked about that. I thought that was a great idea.
The payout
we
thing
had
is
first
the biggest
heard
thing.
about it. All right, one more out for me, 416.30s right there, nice out. Let's go back up to the upside. No more offers here on Tesla until we get back to VWAP, which is 419. So let's go Tesla. Let's see, guys. We're looking for $4 on this Tesla trade. That's what we're looking for. We're going to wait for that. SoFi. All right, so I bid down here. I think someone's mic. Maybe it's.
I hear an echo.
It's okay. There's an echo. Maybe it's Adair's. Okay. 1570 right there down to the downside for. Thank you, Ramin. 1570 downside right there for SoFi is where I was sitting. We didn't get that low, so I thought maybe on a dip buy opportunity there for SoFi. So yeah. Blood in the streets today, but we're doing pretty good right now, holding our head we're well above water, but we did take a hit there on Tesla, brought it back. NVIDIA by far holding the day for me right now. All my profits pretty much came from NVIDIA today. Apple we gave back when it broke lower. iBit, we have an L on iBit today, but it's getting juicy in my opinion right there. NVIDIA holds the whole day for us, and then Tesla right now is starting to go. We're feeling good about this one. Our target is a $4 winner, so let's wait. It doesn't matter how much it is. It's just it's coming up here. VWAP. So 418 and change, I think, is where we'll get another piece out. And then that very top of 419, I think, is what we're really trying to look at there for Tesla. But this market, man, might
oh
be
boy, is the word.
Yeah, it might be a fade the pop type of situation.
So I just saw in the chat, and thank you to everyone in the chat. If you're asking us about individual symbols in the chat, we try to get to them as much as we can. Trust me, there's a lot happening in the market, as you guys can see. I saw a lot of people just ask about Palantir. I looked it up, and Palantir is at 70. That said, I do have
at
to
70.
yeah, exactly. But I'm looking for Tesla to now. This is the trend. It's trying to close above the trend line. It never broke that 413 down here, so I'm looking for that curl. It's kind of what we looked for on NVIDIA, where it finally broke, closed above the trend line, and then enter into the long. But as we wait, I have it up on another chart, so it's not like I'm going to miss it. But if you see what's going on in Palantir, it just tagged that $70 level and a little bit of a reversal on Palantir. Thank you so much,
Randy, you the man.
So a bit of an over-under. 70's big resistance because it was big prior support on Palantir. So I think it makes sense that you're getting a dip buy. But finally, you're going to get a close above on Tesla as I try to hold its knees. And I'm going to go for the long local bottom. Any mean reversion trade makes a fresh low, get out. It's that simple. Yes, I have a support level of 413. That just means I take a mean reversion, any one that's above that line. The first one, steady trend down on Tesla. We'll see if it can hold up here. I'm in it for the first time now, and we'll see where it can go. Get a reload on our coffee, and congratulations to everyone on that Palantir. No actual catalyst I'm aware of on Palantir, except for it likes to go up.
Yeah, and it's the best stock of 2025, I believe. Anyways, we'll wait to see what does happen here. Of course, with our friend Palantir. So, yeah, I like the stock. I really like the AI talk, obviously, that we continue to have with Palantir, and sort of what that means to them and what it means to their sort of environment and things like that. So, again, I really like the stock there, Palantir. We can keep talking about it, but I think we do a good job of that quite often. It's the talk of the town around here, PLTR. So again, good look there, Neil, and a great talk, and a great trade.
It was the viewers that pointed it out.
Yeah, exactly. That's okay. Whoever, I was just going to say, like, whoever brought that up.
Shout out to the viewers.
On PLTR. You got horse sense. All right, what's up, Dara?
Horse sense.
Guys, I don't know if you guys know here, Palantir, no news about a 4.7% short float. Interestingly enough, actually one of the worst stocks of 2025 so far, both in the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. Second worst performer on the NASDAQ, 10th worst performer on the S&P 500. There's going to be a graphic coming out on that for TTV research very soon. But yeah, Palantir could be just bouncing here. It's down as of a couple days ago, about 15% from its NASDAQ conclusion. So yeah, Palantir pretty beat up. This could just be a bit of a rebound here, guys.
into the $60 level, an interesting one, that is for sure. Okay, guys, yeah, we're doing it here right now on Tesla. So it's coming back up into 418. We do have an offer at 417.80, as we had mentioned, what our sort of target was, but maybe we're having a little bit of a problem. I'm going to go to 417.25, offer that. Maybe we get that, maybe we don't, as we're just bouncing around now. We got to take, look, man, we're $2.50 in the money. We just went to 418. That's too bad. We were, again, the high there was 75s. We're at 85s. So it's sometimes just this game that we play here every single day. Very frustrating sometimes when you miss that price, especially when it's by, pieces like that. That's too bad. But okay, just so we talk and we understand where we're at 10% left of our position here on Tesla. We felt really grateful to have experienced that move up right there, considering what that market had done. And the market also bouncing now off the 50-period moving average. So that's another thing to watch out for here. I still think some more upside. I still think we're going to get it. We're at there it is. So there it is. So we get that 417. That price was, okay, 417.26. We talked about that. There's the price. We had just got it. It's a good trade so far there on TSLA on the rebound. Let's see if we can get it back up to VWAP. That's where our next offer is.
Chuck of all trades, the answer is 98 and some random zeros, where my stop is on BMRA. I pretty much will never put a dollar stop at 99.99 cents. That's just out of sheer principle. So I usually want it to break a little bit more than that. You guys keep saying to check meta. I will do that in a quick second. But series of higher lows and holding on is AMAT for now. Holding on to VWAP, that is. I like the look. We just grabbed it long. Gonna give it to the prior bar low, I should say, which is right in here on the 3 minutes. So that's about 184 and a third. So AMAT's starting to go, looking like it's going to be a good one. Tesla did the revert, and the market's catching a bid. It looks like it can get to VWAP. I'd love this to get to VWAP for me. And I was asked, what about short in Intel? Well, it's not. I mean, I was sort of saying I wanted to get back up to VWAP or prior resistance. It's kind of barely moving. So it's not really bouncing far enough to look for that short just yet. We'll just work with AMAT, Tesla. I mean, NVIDIA's not really doing much. I think we're right to get out of NVIDIA. It's now holding the same range, VWAP sellers, and trying to hold on to 137. Whereas you've got Tesla moving, you've got AMAT holding above VWAP, Applied Materials that is, and tracking toward the high. So if the thesis was that the dudes that make the things that make the chips were supposed to be good today because of TSM, then maybe that's where we need to be. Like TSM's holding VWAP. Maybe NVIDIA isn't the one today. It did a lot of heavy lifting yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, so far today, we're going to look around. I mean, we really do like that Palantir level, that's for sure. We do like SMCI. You had a good point about SMCI, and I remember when...
Should have shorted that.
Yeah, when I looked at the watch list today, I said to Adara, and I think Sharif was here, I think you were here, we were all here, and it was just like, what? Like, why is SMCI up 32? Like, we saw TSM, we saw all those moves up right there. Wrong screen for now, Ramin, but there it is. So now you're trying to retake this VWAP. That should be a trade, taking that out right now, because you do get that whoosh back in as people say, what? Like Hindenburg is gone, so therefore SMCI is in the clear or something like that. But again, we'll wait for SMCI. Dara had another good point. Said, like, what was there, a more volatile stock or a stock that had a crazier journey in 2024 than SMCI? So we'll wait to see. I'm a little nervous about it. This $30 breakdown could be that wall that we are all a little bit afraid of right there. If we break that ledge, we'll get to the downside. Oh, ledge. Speaking about that, we have Chris Brecher on tonight. The return of Chris Brecher. I'm going to read his note. He wants to talk about something right now. Hearing Google... Oh, yeah, something about EU law. It doesn't look like it's moving that much right now. So we'll get that all figured out. Adira will get this Google news when she does. But right now, Google not doing much. But I did. Okay, so nothing. She heard the news. It's an old story that we've already talked about. So, okay, we'll pass on that. All right, so there's a good out. Thankfully, we had that out. Watch out now. Here comes Tesla right back in like crazy time. We're going to get stopped out once this breaks. Our stop is right here at 414. It's coming back in pretty good. We'll reload it just a little bit, but not. Oh, there it goes. Okay, we are gone now on Tesla. Bye-bye, Tesla. What's up with that?
Yeah, Tesla just came through. I gave it to that prior bar high. It just broke. It was 145.60 or so that we're able to get out there. But that's now right into that 413. This is where it bounced off VWAP yesterday. Come to my chart, if we can. This is where it came back in off VWAP. So I tried the first mean reversion in front of it. We'll look for the second hopefully right now as the market continues to head lower, we got to fill. Okay, AMAT's still looking okay. Like it just tagged 186.5 and it's holding higher lows in VWAP. If this breaks trend, all bets are off. But at least that's starting to look pretty good. I'm going to get back to in just 1 second. I was asked about Mara. Mara's looking better above VWAP, but Bitcoin's down at 98,000. Like the idea was to play Mara on strength in Bitcoin. So yeah, the chart looks good, but I'd be breaking my rule if I was not waiting for a bounce in BTC. So it looks like it's going to be Tesla getting into this 413 area. Going to look for the trend reversal down here, and because it's so steep, I'm making a switch to a 1 minute chart here, so I'll be able to see a bit better.
Okay, yeah, so I was, if I'm going to do anything, we're looking at Bitcoin right now. That is really starting to go kind of the other way right now, goes BTC.
That is not good.
Yeah, like this is not a great sign right now for us watching out for Bitcoin and IBIT. Breaking back through 97.8. We could see if eventually there could be a top here somewhere, but I don't know, 55 right up to the 200, or right up to the 50 period, up to VWAP. I was thinking that spot that we went long initially, 56, that's not a bad spot right there to consider the other way around. So maybe that is something to look forward to here on IBIT, shorting in and around that VWAP could be a play there as well. So we'll take a quick look at that and see if that comes back up into $56. I don't mind that trade at all, but again, it's got to come through first, and then we'll deal with it after that. So right there, IBIT trying to make that move back up. We can have a quick look at some of the cryptocurrencies or I guess the altcoins and see what they're doing. Let's just have a quick little refresh here on CoinGecko. All right, so XRP up 44%, so that's going to be the big one. Solana still up 10, Dogecoin up 17% right now. This is 17 days, right? This is the 24-hour spot right now. XRP up 12% there today. So we'll have a quick look at this, but that's the crypto look for right now. Looking to dip by, I would think, but again, $55. We'll have a closer look at Coinbase, IBIT, and some more cryptocurrencies when we get back.
Yes, sir, and we'll get back to talking about WKSP, introducing this new discovery on the NASDAQ, and its works for it. A U.S.-based manufacturer and rapidly expanding with growing revenues, government contracts, and innovative green energy products designed to power your life off the grid. Whether you're on the move or seeking sustainable energy solutions, Worksport has you covered. Now trading on the NASDAQ under WKSP, discover the future of clean energy with Worksport. Scan that QR code you see in front of you if interested. Check the link in the description of this video. Wow. Every now and then I just like to try to put some French in there. Why not? So while that was happening, 413 bounced for now on Tesla. And I say for now because every single bounce is kind of... there's been plenty of bounce spots on Tesla. Don't get me wrong. It's just none of them have been able to sustain into VWAP. I don't know that this one's going to be any different. I have this opening range where we got the 416. That's going to be the target. And if we hold on to 413, maybe I can reload it one more time. Oh, be it BMRA, tries to hold $1. I am out. What did I get? 98. I don't know. Whatever. 98 change. I'm out. I'm not going to double check the fill. But the second, I wasn't waiting for VWAP. This was an over-under dollar play to look for it to break out. I wasn't even offering until literally 122, 123 for a breakout. But it's underneath the buck. I should probably pay for some locates in case it continues to the downside, and then I can short off the dollar level. But BAMRA heading to the downside. Tesla actually catching a bit of a bid. AMAT's holding up for now, and Bitcoin still can't bounce past 98. Let's go to Adara.
Keep an eye on Snap and Meta. Here's some of these social media tickers. I'm seeing reports that a spokesperson for the Trump transition team said that Trump has, quote, repeatedly expressed his desire to save TikTok. And this actually follows reports from the Washington Post suggesting that Donald Trump would issue an executive order to stop this TikTok ban. So do be aware here of META and SNAP, that TikTok tailwind we speak about may actually be fading. It's also worth noting here that we do have some comments from Feds Waller, who has basically made some kind of dovish comment saying that he thinks inflation will continue to come in towards their target. But he also commented here that he might actually have a more optimistic view on inflation than the rest of his colleagues. So his comments may have to be taken with a grain of salt there. Basically, we do have some dovish comments from Feds Waller being negated by Feds Waller himself, guys. Interesting stuff.
All right.
Dovish comments by Feds Waller being negated by himself.
I'll put it back and forth. I have too many comments.
The whole point is to be clear and concise at the Fed. That is the whole point. You're supposed to not shock the markets. It should be very clear what it is that you're saying.
Right.
It is what it is. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Well, all right. So we took the opportunity as well to get a little bit more Tesla down there at 414. So nice. Okay, here we go. Big day alert again here as the market just kind of does not much. But where are the big days, right? So if we're going to look in, tell me, put in the chat right here what stock you've been hitting and where your profits are coming from. Right now today, we'll wait to see if Tesla can get back up there. We're starting to scalp a little bit more out. Good trade here. If we can get it into 416.30s, we just put an offer into there. The 50 period is right here at 80s. So a little bit of a bump up here through this level. We'll take it. Nice rally back. Actually, you know what? I'll take a piece right now. Why not? If we can get an 80 fill, there it is. We get that there on Tesla. Good little out there as we start to buy. And we go into this name, Tesla. Let's go. $1.50 now in the money on TSLA. So there was... I know we went to Adara on Carvana, but we're just hearing it in our ear. They keep on mentioning
this
Carvana.
Thing is flying, dude.
Right there. Okay.
5.5%.
Yeah, here we go. Shout out to everybody in here. MSTR is a big trade for people today. Palantir, Rigetti, AVGO says Ben. BPN says Monster. MSTR, not Monster. Google here. G-Man goes Google as well. AVGO goes Ben. Yeah, you know what, Ben? It's probably a name that I haven't even really put on my radar. Should be there for sure. Broadcom coming through. Robinhood, good game. Holo, Uber, Apple, screwed. Yeah, maybe. KLAC, BBAI, futures. Great trade on the futures. I should be looking over there as well. Roblox and shorts are now trapped. Let's sure as hell hope the shorts are trapped, Neil, because right now it is a $1 and a $2 winner on Tesla. So good little look there down there at 413. I know you had that as well. Good look.
Yeah, I just grabbed out of this at that 416. And again, it's been holding on to the trend. So if it holds that trend line, to me, that's a nice, easy bounce. I just feel like going back to first principles, AMAT looks a little bit stronger. And now that Bitcoin's back above, Bitcoin is back above 98 there. Every time I look up, I'm either looking at a chart of IBIT or I'm looking at Bitcoin prices. I'm going to go back to Robinhood. Robinhood stopped out the low after getting that initial long. You're back above VWAP. So back to first principles. It's still in the bull flag. Was holding on very nicely. Mara as well. When I look at this, we had the initial breakout on Mara. Obviously, Bitcoin's not really doing a heck of a lot, but you're getting a little more bullish again. So you had double bottom in there, and you're holding this top. I'd like you to break back out above the 18.2. I just kind of threw this line in essentially where we closed, then realized we closed actually at 15. So it's adjacent to the same level, just slightly above VWAP. I want buyers above, so this is going green and holding green before I get back into it. AMAT, alongside of the other chip names, it's now got a stronger trend, so ignore this trend of the higher lows. Once it held VWAP, that's the trend I was giving it to. It's now got the steep one off of VWAP on AMAT. So if we break out the high, plenty of room to run. But if we lose this trend line, dip by VWAP is the play. So I'm gonna get out of the AMAT on any break of this trend line that it's made since VWAP. Right now, that'd be about 186.70. Let's go to Adara with a small cap recap.
Interesting here, looking at the IWM in the 15-minute, because while we did have this push to the upside off the open yesterday, much like what we saw with the S&P 500 and the Qs, unlike that push, we actually kind of gave up a lot of that move. We didn't close near highs, kind of did a little bit of a rounded bottom, but no crazy breakout after that pop at 8:30. Now today, unlike the S&P 500 and the Qs, we don't have as much of a push to the downside. We're actually trying to bounce right now, roughly flat here for the IWM, just below 224. So Russell, kind of in a bull flag formation, but really no signs of a breakout as of yet. IPRX on watch here, Immunity Bio, they have run in the past with a 30% short float. This morning announcing that they've reported submissions of applications for some treatments for specific types of bladder cancer. So bladder cancer treatment and a 30% short float on watch for IBRX. Now we have Flexible Solutions, FSI. They're actually a Canadian company. They have about an 8 million share float, up about 50% here, announcing they've entered into a 5-year contract with an unnamed company in the US for manufacturing food-grade products. And last but not least, here we have DATS, DatChat. This one runs very often, usually without any news. That is the case for today. No news on DATS, but they do have a just under 3 million share float, so very small float there. Make sure to like and subscribe, guys. Back to you.
There's that.
Yeah, DATS with a very, very small. Sometimes, look, low float runners don't need a reason to go. They just do their own thing. It's essentially, the principle behind it is, doesn't take a heck of a lot for a single firm or a shop or something like that to soak up and take all the shares, and then there's no liquidity out there for anybody that happens to be short to cover. And then it just bleeds the price up. They probably make a bunch of posts on Reddit, and then the stock starts going. So that's the formula, and you never want to get caught. If it doesn't have a catalyst, I think you want to be scalp trading it to the upside when you're looking at low float runners. So AMAT is trying to hold on to the trend, but it's about to, we'll see. I mean, it's right at the trend top. And if we break, it's like 186. I said 70, it's actually 80 where this trend bottom is. So if it breaks that, we look for a retracement back into VWAP here on AMAT. Hood is trying, but not doing a very good job of holding on to VWAP. And then NVIDIA as well. Right back into VWAP and the sellers. Just sellers and sellers and sellers on NVIDIA at VWAP. It's Intel or AMD that I think are, like, I kind of felt like those are the ones that needed to be short. And it's like, well, NVIDIA's at VWAP, Intel's at VWAP. AMD is at the low, pretty much at the low of the day. So AMD is the weakest one of the group. So while it plays catch up, I just feel on this up move, try to hold on to the AMAT long if it continues to break out, because I want the longs to work. The NASDAQ just went green again, so instead of just trying to stick it into one of the ones that's strong, let the weakest one get to VWAP and play that if it gets there and try to ride the wave that's coming back into this upside. Bitcoin's now solidly above 98,000, so it's looking a little bit better in here for Mara. And then we closed at 18.15, but I think I'll probably just take something in the 10 to 15 range off of VWAP here as we go to Adair.
We mentioned here a little bit earlier that there was apparently a spokesperson for the Trump transition team saying that Trump would, in fact, be interested in keeping TikTok from going dark. Now, actually, we have some more comments on that. Apparently, this happened during an interview for Fox News. The advisor said that the incoming administration will keep TikTok from going dark, quote, as long as a viable deal is on the table. No specifications as to what a viable deal would entail. But either way, keep an eye here on META and SNAP actually getting a bit of a topping tail candle here for Meta, guys. Back to you.
Interesting stuff happening over there, I see.
Meta.
Yeah, we'll find out more about Meta and what's going on over there.
Sleepy.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so far so good here. But yeah, let's, I still have Carvana up. I don't know why. Let's have a quick look at Meta. What is the NASDAQ doing again? Flat. So like why I'm not hopping in and out of many trades is like, I feel like you have to be patient with this. The market's still doing what the market's doing. I mean, I wish it was doing a little more than this maybe, but we just try to hold on to what we've got, you know? And I mean, ready or not, you know, you live for the moment. 416.65. I mean, we've already gotten another piece out that looks like it's the high there for Tesla. It's a $2 winner, but I mean, we're kind of resting on it right now. So let's see if there's something else. 1026. I want to thank everybody for watching, liking, and subscribing. I mean, I haven't even hit over here yet to see how many we have. I'm going to refresh it. But right now, how many viewers do we have? Over 9,000, around 9,000 viewers right now. Let's get that like into the stratosphere. 1K. Let's even get 1.2, 1.3. If you haven't hit the like button, do so now. There's that Broadcom. Someone had mentioned there in the chat that this was their big play. Maybe it was this fade at the double top 237. You know, now you're starting to break lower. I'm going to get out another piece now on, I'm taking some 416s now on Tesla. Not distracted here at all. Just like if this market's going to fade out again off the 21,400, then let's get out. Like I'm waiting for higher fills. We were there at 416.65, just missed us there on the way back down in. So let's see, there we go. Let's take another piece out. So we're getting lower and lower, about 5% left of Tesla right now. So we had a reload over here, so no, less, more than 5% left. We have about 20 to 25% left of this Tesla reload right there. So we still need it to go one way here, hopefully upside.
Yeah, we want it to be one way, but as Marlo said in The Wire, sometimes it's the other way. I'm looking at this NASDAQ and like we just cannot seem to really hold green. We'll get green and then we'll sort of slide back in there every single time. It's like that Bitcoin and 100,000 on Bitcoin. We just can't seem to hold above it. So I'm going back over, still not breaking trend yet on AMAT, but I feel like any second now it's going to lose that bit. Stop is in regardless, but it's like AMD, I keep wanting to short a pop. AMD is not going up at all. It's just holding on to these lows. They got a downgrade from Wolf. Maybe Wolf got it right today. Okay, ignore that chart. That's going to be wrong on VWAP there. Intel is bouncing and up at 1955. VWAP's closer to the 60 level on Intel. But I am in Mara. We did hold on to 98.4, and you've held on to VWAP, so it's got this little bit of a trend. If we lose 18, then I'm going to get out of Robinhood for sure. But Bitcoin doing a decent job of holding on to some support here at 98. If you look at IBIT, it's obviously not going to be the same price as everybody, but you can sort of see what's going on with Bitcoin. You're in a nice upward trend. It's now gaining VWAP. So I go back to the name that we like to trade, and that was going to be Mara. So you hold VWAP here, continue uptrend. I don't see a reason why Mara shouldn't just follow suit to the upside. There goes AMAT. So once again, look like you're going to break the high of the day. NVIDIA did the same thing. NVIDIA looked strong early, looked like it was running for a breakout. AMAT gives you VWAP and into 187. I'll play it again off VWAP if we get a chance. So if it mean reverts back in, I'm not shorting it here, but I am going to get out and look to see if we can play back into the volume weighted average price. NVIDIA loses VWAP as well. Like, it just feels like maybe the buyers can't seem to hold on well enough here. So we'll stick with Mara because Bitcoin's doing okay, but maybe we should just be jumping that Intel short after all.
Probably onto something. Oh, yeah, I was just looking at Intel. Funny you mentioned that there as well. I thought Intel maybe was basing out a little bit into there. I mean, look, the short obviously still working if it gets into here. That'd be 1940s. I just thought maybe if we were trying to find a base in a stock, it's funny you just mentioned Intel because it just showed sort of up on the scanner there because it's approaching that VWAP. We had an idea yesterday with Starbucks, so let's see what that sort of looks like here today. All right, so a nice break. Yesterday's trade was near the end of the day that we sort of thought this kind of a break might have been something. It looks like it happens right at the end of the day and then faded in there. So we didn't get that trade. That was a great short. Remember we were looking at this yesterday at the end of the day there, and then I was looking long because of what the market was doing, but then Starbucks pulls right back in. Funny thing is, today with the NASDAQ being down, Starbucks is up. So it's kind of like flipping itself around a little bit here today. 93 and change. We just had Nat Gas come out, so that would be NG $F over here on my charts for e-signal. So here's
for Sharif's sake.
Yeah, so there's Nat Gas coming back in. So yeah, not much happening. I don't actually know what the number was. Oh, there it was. Gas storage minus 258 billion, I guess, cubic, whatever, versus minus 260. So very, very in line, basically. 258 versus 260 there on a drawdown from minus. So again, a little less gas getting taken out of the system. They're sending gas prices down to the lows, I guess, of the pre-market. So, yeah. All right. They got going again, man. Tesla got going again right to the 50 period and stopped. So that's 416. So we're going to get another piece out. Put 416 flat in there. Cancel my 416.50. It doesn't look like we're going to get that. Let's see if we can get it. And let's go over to Adair and find out what she's up to.
For one, I found a bit of a story. We're going to talk about crypto, but really quickly before we do that, I want to talk about Palantir. I did find potentially something on this. So apparently Raymond James maintained a market perform rating, not a super bullish note. One thing they did say, though, which apparently from what I've read might be pushing up the stock, is that apparently there's been a vesting of roughly $120 million in stock appreciation rights. Basically what happened was the company's stock is infinitely basically adding equity because they did reach over $50 throughout Q4. So that's what I'm seeing here. We know that we pushed above that $50 level during the fourth quarter, and apparently these rights have led to some recalibrated earnings expectations. It's actually led Raymond James to expect that their EPS is going to be lower in Q4, but I guess the fact that they have this $120 million in stock appreciation rights has actually led to a bit of a bullish look. So the note is bearish, but that aspect apparently is being viewed as bullish by investors. So that is apparently the deal with PLTR. I apologize, it's a lot of lingo there, but Trump here maybe giving a bit of a bullish lift for XRP and Solana. We have a report here from the New York Times suggesting that not the New York Times, New York Post, very different. New York Post reporting here that Donald Trump would be considering adding XRP and Solana to the crypto reserve as part of his, quote, America First Bitcoin strategy or crypto strategy. So either way, we know Trump has been viewed as bullish for Bitcoin and crypto, and this seems like another feather in that cap, if you will. Now, I actually have we usually look at the daily chart, but I want to look at the 15-minute chart on Bitcoin because this is actually looking pretty bearish. We have this rejection of this multiple support area here around 98.5. Hitting that right now and pushing lower. It's worth noting that we do have some clear support at that 97.3 area. We talk a lot about the support and resistance on crypto in the daily chart, but I think it'd be interesting to look at Bitcoin having some of these levels on the 15 as well. If we break below that 97,000 level, that could be a bit of a bad look for BTC. Let's take a look here as well at some of these other crypto performers. We know XRP, actually this is its second great day in a row. I'm sure that note from the New York Post helping XRP up about 10% right now. Solana here up about 5% on the same note, but Bitcoin, Ethereum a little down. Everything else, though, generally to the upside here in the crypto space, guys.
Apple has a sell program on it, and it's now down at it's down 2 points. This is the low from 2 days ago. So as it continues to bleed, when I say it's a sell program, I was asked the other day, like, how do you know it's a sell program? And it's one of those, like porn, you know it when you see it. Yeah, this is really? What it looks like. Oh, it's sort of obvious. Like a lot of times it'll be disguised a little bit better. There is nothing hidden about what's going on in Apple right now. So the logic being, when it's already down this far, the way I looked for the Tesla reversion was kind of the similar thing. It wasn't this kind of a trend line. It was much different on Tesla. Like it was kind of like higher lows in there. This is just one straight on the 3-minute. And if it closes above the trend line, I'm going to go long. And I might work a different trend line off of like 34 or something if it continues to steep move into the downside. That is insane what is happening now on Apple. And I think just a one shot is probably going to be worth it. You don't necessarily want to catch a falling knife here, but I think looking for like one shot is going to make a little bit of sense. Big time movement to the downside on Apple. It's clearly like the market doesn't. This is the NASDAQ. NASDAQ is actually trying to hold everybody. Like it's holding right here, just barely in the red. The ES is doing something very similar in spite of everything you're seeing in Apple. This market is trying to get back and trying to bounce, and a lot of this bleeding probably due to what we're seeing over there in Apple. Now, the only thing I'm still in is Mara, which is just kind of holding VWAP in here. So we jumped back into it when it regained. We got out when it lost VWAP. We got back in when it regained VWAP. And we'll look to see if that can push back in toward the highs. It would certainly help if Bitcoin could get going. It would help if the market could also make a bit of a power move as well. So Apple, not looking very good. But that is very distinct what you guys are seeing down there. And I have to acknowledge it. But I'm just going to be very, very patient. I think you just look for that one shot to take the reversion trade. And if it gets to VWAP, great. Scalp it on the way to the upside, but I'm tracking this now. You have to. Apple doesn't usually move like this.
All right, yeah. We've been still on the same. Oh, you know what I want to look at? I said I want to look at some Coinbase right now. We got, by the way, there's the 50-period moving average. We're just going to keep doing that on Tesla, but no more. We've stopped doing it now. 417, like now we're waiting for VWAP. I'm waiting for 417.30s. Let's see if we can get $1 higher right now on that name. Crypto's going nuts, man. That's a great story. I didn't even realize about that Solana and XRP. I think that's crazy for some of those names as they continue to go higher there. We will go over to Adara. Again, just a quick check on those prices just because of that story. So right now, XRP 330 up 10%. Right now, Solana 208 up 5%. What's up, A?
Is brought to you by eSignal. Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to an elite trading experience where you can analyze, strategize, and capitalize. Foresee profitable opportunities with the platform you need. Infinite data can lead to instant trading, so you can know where the market's moving before others, with lightning-fast data and charts that change the game. Customize and analyze markets faster, your way. There's better back testing and scanning, so you can predict the future by understanding the past. Reliable real-time data provides up-to-the-second market info from hundreds of global markets, everything you need, all in one place. Don't miss a beat. Execute your best trades now with eSignal. Are you ready to elevate your trading? Scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Back to you.
Elevate your trading.
Yeah, like that.
One of the things that you can probably, I'm going to make a strong assumption, find is relative volume, moving average, things that are hugging moving averages for sure with eSignal. Like we said, Apple has got a very obvious pattern that you're seeing here. I'm jumping back over to, I still have Apple up on another chart, so I want to make sure if it breaks that trend, I'm going to be able to get it. But Tesla's coming back into that 413. That's that support that we liked. It's just where it bounced at VWAP yesterday. So if it can make another push, revert a trend at that point, I'd still look for another entry into the long on Tesla. Mara's still doing the same thing it was before. Okay, Apple, is this going to be the green candle? And I say the green candle. There actually has been a green candle on the 3-minute chart. This would be the second green candle on a 3-minute chart. It looks like it's trying to make the break. I should slap a 1 minute up. When it gets down like this, sometimes you want to slap a 1 minute up because it's already breaking. It's already breaking trend here. I'm going to nibble in front of 232 because this is already broken trend. I can eyeball it. I know what's happened. It broke that local high. The local bottom is 232. And if it breaks it on the 3-minute, that can be a reason to add to the position on Apple. I guess the idea being that whomever is the program seller has stopped for temporarily or has just lightened up a little bit. So, like clearly it broke that trend and broke that prior bar. If it closes above this one, and it looks like it's going to try to maybe nibble a little bit more, still going to be giving it to 32. And I don't even know about VWAP. The way this is selling, looking for a VWAP bouncing is a little bit extreme, but Apple finally making a little bit of a turn here. Let's see if we can get to 233 on the bleed. Those iPhone sales in China, it's like how many times do we get notes like that and it just doesn't even matter? Today it does.
Yeah, great look on Apple. The thing is, too, like you identified that there was something going on it, right? I mean, you want to hop over to that.
Much like Palantir.
Yep.
No, I didn't.
Oh, someone else
The
did?
chat was undefeated. I didn't see no Palantir at $70. I didn't see this program on Apple. I didn't even have Apple up. I had Tesla, Hood, AMD, Intel. I got a bunch of other stuff. AMAT we're watching today. Apple actually wasn't on my list of things to look at today. But shout out to the chat. You guys are undefeated.
You guys noticed. Someone noticed something there. I know it's good for the chat.
Community.
Yeah, exactly. We always talk about that and unity, of course, as you get ready for that. I wonder if anything had ever come of that 420 post or that weird little cryptic post that
Roaring Kitty
our
absolutely
friend had there. Let's go check out Unity quickly here. Unity's, that's Unity in Blue Ocean. Not open yet, Unity in Blue Ocean, of course. Unity.ny. When was it? Just before Christmas, I think that he was, or just before the New Year, I think he tweeted that. Remember he put the date out, 01, 09, something like that?
Yeah, it was in December.
It was in December there. So yeah, there's a big bump up there for Unity. Maybe it wasn't in around here, November 18th or something. I don't know. But nice little bump up there for Unity. Another bump there. So it's $20, actually holding not too bad for Unity down there at $20, but down 2%. Okay, it's Sector Watch time with Adara over at the screen.
We've seen a pretty scattered and kind of flat up and down performance for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. That's pretty much reflected in the sector board. We have some green sectors, some red sectors, but a lot that are doing pretty choppy action. Retail trade pretty flat here. Energy minerals, health technology relatively flat, consumer non-durables, and communication. But Tesla actually the only significantly red name in an otherwise flat consumer durable sector. Let's talk, though, about some of this strength. Utility is a pretty good look. Commercial services, producer manufacturing, finance, electronic technology, though, being brought down by Apple, actually has some strong names like NVIDIA and Broadcom. And technology services has a little bit mixed performance as well. Netflix, CRM, Oracle to the upside, Meta and Google to the downside here. I do want to note as well health services, which is, I would say, the only sharply red sector on the day. UNH here leading this group to the downside on their earnings. They did beat on some metrics, but missed on others. So United Healthcare, which we know has been on watch since the fatal shooting of the CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, this one continuing to push to the downside, actually breaking below 520 this morning, guys. Back to you.
Yeah, like literally seconds ago, I saw in the chat, Sean James just said, if you like red slides, look at UNH. It's not about liking red slides. I mean, who does ultimately? As a trader, you go long, you go short, you can play action, but you don't really hope that stocks go down. I never really want to see that. UNH missed on revenue and, of course, not looking very good. But I didn't want to see this on Apple either. I'm like everybody else. I own Apple in my long term. But here's the problem with Apple. It broke the trend, and it looks like it's going to break the prior bar low. Now, obviously, the prior bar low is in here, but when we're adding on this breakout, so we took that break, we took that break. Now, if it can't hold on to the 232 even, no mas. Just going to give it a shot. I'm still offering 33s, 33.5, and then we'll play it by ear if it gets out and about and above. And Intel just came in as well. So load. Intel chart's been weird today. Still weird. For some reason, Intel, my Intel chart, I'm sure everyone else is fine, looking a little bit weird. But it just wicked the 60 level. VWAP's not going to be right on this chart, so don't worry about it.
Going the other
way. This market is trying to come back in, so I'm shorting it, giving it to 60 on Intel. So Apple, we're still long. I am remiss to look over at AMAT. So suffice to say, it didn't pull back into VWAP after pulling back off the high of the day. AMAT now up 5 points. This is the thing, that TSM move, AMAT is strong, LAM is strong. We knew ASML, these types of names were going to be relatively strong. I will say one thing about ASML, if you're trading this, in about 45 minutes, it's going to close in Europe, and the volume really dries up on it. So it's an expensive stock. Most people wouldn't trade it anyways, but it's those suppliers, and they're the ones that are doing really well here today. Mara now has a weird thing going on. We bought off VWAP, was able to get back to 1825. Now all of a sudden it's holding directly at 1806 at VWAP. So someone's buying it at that exact price. So the shares that we got out, I'm going to get back in at like 7s or 8s right off of that level here on Mara. And just if someone else is buying, then just sort of join the buying party that seems like is happening on VWAP here on MARA. And of course, the second we say it, it starts to bid away.
Well, we're bidding 413.50 on Tesla. It came right in, that's not Tesla. It came right in there to 413.50 and we didn't get filled. It went to 413.65 right there for Tesla. Let's check out Boeing a little bit here to see if there's anything going on that, because it's near that 170 level right now, and a really nice day here for Boeing. Started to take off. Now that we say that, we'll just hit a plane. All right, took off today, Boeing, down into the 200 period moving average. So a great little level there. Those of us that look at that, can you take a look at that? Hit it there again, blast off there to the upside goes Boeing. So a nice little take there for anybody interested in that name. I like Boeing. I know Neil has been a recent buyer of that. And I think, again, monopolistic companies are good ones to hold, especially if you're in a more longer term time frame, because they're not going anywhere. They will have their ups and downs, but Boeing, again, their new CEO, new little game plan coming through, bounce off of. I always think when you have this, I always like to see at least one more test sort of the 50 period moving average, but we might have got it right there. So you're getting close enough right now. I think if you're long Boeing, you're probably long until 160 on like a swing. And as I just said, for longer term, like the stock anyways. So good job there for Boeing.
They can't let them fail.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I think that if you're looking at a business, it's a good business.
You want a stat?
Yeah, I love stats.
Over 50%, south of 16, north of 50% of Boeing's revenue comes from the U.S. government.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So
and they're in. Don't they have contracts with NASA and everything like that?
Yeah,
they're not
the other part of the equation.
Yeah, they're not just
Apple
making
tried.
these airplanes. But
Apple tried. Apple failed. It was one shot.
Apple.
Look at this. This is relentless on Apple. So I had the long here, essentially at 220, 232.5. We got in blended price, giving it to the prior bar low on the reversion. It went about 20, 30 cents in the money, but when a stock has bled $7 off the top, probably not looking for that on a mean reversion, but to each their own. You're just going to continue to flush here on Apple. It might just take another more parabolic move or something crazier to the downside for it to catch a turn. Maybe 230 even when you look at that daily chart as well. So looking very, very nasty. Bitcoin's holding up nicely. That buying that was happening on Mara, the second you notice someone's just sitting there at 1806, jump on the bid and the stock heads back higher. So I'm going to get on the offer in front of that 25 again. Just takes them out, rinse and repeat off of VWAP. This stock is at least holding VWAP and looking strong. Everything else looking very heavy and very weak. Although Bearded Warrior Trades in the chat says Alphabet is strong.
Ooh, bearded. The bearded one.
Yeah, I will never be I shouldn't say never. Never say never. I'm a firm believer in that. I am very unlikely to be the bearded trader warrior. That's not going to be me. But Alphabet at the high of day and almost going green.
What?
That
I'd like to hear that.
That looks pretty strong. We do like to hear that on Alphabet. We'd also like to see the market catch a bit more of a bid here. The only thing I am short is very late on Intel. I'll probably just close and reopen that chart. But the other name that we haven't even been talking about it's AMD. They're the ones that got the downgrade.
Chill.
They're the ones that can't catch a bid. Just chilling out at those lows. I keep thinking that will get to VWAP for a short, and it wants no part of it. And then here comes Tesla again, 413. Wow.
Yeah, we're We're on some Tesla here, but I don't know. We're long now, 413.30. We're now $1 in the money again here on Tesla. So let's just wait to see where it goes. We did want to dip by that trade. We keep on talking about it. So if we're talking about something, we're most likely doing it. So there it is right there on Tesla. I mean, I spend all day looking at these things. Might as well put a couple trades on. So there it goes, Tesla, 313.50. We did take a couple outs there. North, we just got filled at 414 quarters right there. It's going to drop through probably right now goes Tesla. Boom goes a dynamite the other way now on TSLA. So not a great trade to hold on to. That's why we scalp out. Here it comes right back into the low of the day again goes Tesla. Market goes boom. Tesla goes boom to the downside right there. But hey, we took profit on it, honestly, on that trade. So it's going to be okay for us. We will wind up, I'll have to check. We'll wind up down on Tesla on that trade, I would think, because it broke. But our ins were like 35s, breaking back down through 30. There's the pop back up again. All right, it's just so volatile, man. We need to find some shorts. We've only been long today. Look, it's a great day today.
Short seller report on RCAT.
I saw that.
RCAT, okay, so there it goes. RCAT to the downside. Well, Hindenburg is closed, so who was it there? Muddy Waters?
I didn't catch it. I didn't catch who it was. Maybe it was Kerrisdale, but we'll see in a second. I just only heard it. I haven't actually read it. Kerrisdale Capital. So it is Kerrisdale Capital. Down 9% is Red Cat underneath that $10 level and looking, again, pretty nasty. I just want to make sure we got that one to you. Okay, Tesla might be able to revert this one on Tesla. I have a 1 minute up just because I want to be able to see these a little bit more clean. But at the same level that it did a trend reverse before, it's going to try and do it again. We close, here's going to try and close above the trend line, give it to the prior bottom. Oh, that's a big, strong bar. Should try to nibble. That could be a temporary low on Tesla.
Yeah,
there is the close.
The same thing.
You just see that? The bid just jumped the second it closed above that trend line on Tesla.
I mean, I really like the stock. I don't want to get people thinking that we don't like it. It's just the fact is like it's not performing that well right now, Tesla, against some of these levels. I'm not going to get back in. I'm going to wait to see if it does do something off of this level here. And of course, what we're talking about is 413. I mean, the market's bouncing here, man. I just don't want to punch it, though. All right, we'll see if we get something low on it. Let me go over to NVIDIA, another name that I know I like to dip by if possible. There's that 136 on NVIDIA. Wasn't that a level that we liked? Oh, we liked 236 on Apple. We can go back over to Apple and have a quick look. Let's punch a little bit here on NVIDIA, just in case. I mean, it looks like we could bounce off of these levels. So we're going to go into into NVIDIA right there, right now. I did want to check Apple to see what kind of, see what kind of levels we're at there for Apple. 231. Apple really getting, I know you were just on Apple, but Apple really on that program there, like just straight to the downside, really getting hit. Wow. We liked Apple 236 at the beginning of the day. This name getting absolutely crushed, AAPL. But there goes NVIDIA, Neil. Boy, oh boy, did we pick the right one, or maybe your Tesla, maybe if you're in that, probably trying to go as well. So far, so good here on the first trade of the day for me on NVIDIA. Let's go, man. That's a 30-cent winner. We'll slap it up a little bit there. Get back some of that money that we lost on Tesla right back in there on NVDA. So we went into that name. Let's see where it goes from here.
Yeah, let's see where it tries to go. I just looked over, like thinking there was going to be a revert on Apple when that market bounce happened.
Me too.
Absolutely not. But we're back in on Tesla at that 413 level. Look, if it can't hold 413, all bets are going to be off at that point. At the same time, I am tracking over to Apple because it's almost at $230. So it's $1 away from the recent support at 230. Going to offer, just like the last bounce, going to offer into the resistance on Tesla. And then if it gets to 416, we'll be happy if it can get to the 416 level on Tesla. There's just been, I know the selling's been like above 416, but it hasn't really breached 417. So we'll sell it into that level. It just tagged 414.5. All right, Apple as well. So that's Tesla. Apple's about to break 231 to the downside. This is going to be juicy if it ever does a reversion. But the trend, look at how ridiculously linear that trend is. I've never seen this on Apple. Not once. Not once have I seen a sell program like this on Apple. Someone is unloading.
They're unloaded.
You know what? If it doesn't make a bounce this morning, patience through lunch. Because if you see a wall, like a support level just start to form on Apple when things calm down, maybe the program turns off, that could be the better entry for Apple. Let's just work. Like, other things are making bounces and going. Like this is like, look at Tesla. There were actual bounce plays on Tesla. Apple is just a different beast right now.
Yeah, I could definitely appreciate that talk. I mean, that's trying to find the opportunities where they lie is part of the problem all the time. Like there's so many different names, as Neil was mentioning there. Like if you can see something that you think you can take advantage of, like potentially that sell program or whatever it happens to be there on Apple, I mean, you want to get into there and see if there's something that makes some kind of sense to you, because the way that I'll trade, Neil will trade, anybody will trade, it has to, at the end of the day, it has to make sense to you. Like if you see a trade that you're like, you know what, I don't know why Sean would take that, then don't take it, right? And ask us questions. We talk about opening it up in the chat all the time with you. So let us know if there's anything that sort of you're scratching an itch, you want to talk about a stock, you want to talk about a trade, anything like that. So we're getting some more out here at 56.57 on NVIDIA. Again, it's 10:53. It's not that we're getting close, because we go right into the midday show, which is with Joe and Sharif, and that should be another killer of a show. The last couple ones have been absolutely on fire, as they always are. So we appreciate all that trading that they do for you in the midday show as well. And we have, of course, the most popular thing is the Playmaker poll, and that will be happening one more time here today after, I think it was a big win yesterday, I thought it was maybe, and it's a positive strategy. So good job there by everybody working on that Playmaker.
The long will be different today. The timing of it, though,
let's see. I mean, what are people going to bet? I mean, right now the market's flat.
Yeah, but everyone's going to, look, it's going to be long. Because it's always long.
Yeah.
No, it's just like, I think it's 100% of the time the Playmaker poll has been to the long side. But we'll see today if you guys change your minds. Let's go to Adara. It's already 10:55.
Oh, my.
Just a couple minutes left here until the end of the session. I really want to quickly announce we have a new post here on TTV Research. It's going to be the weakest S&P 500 tickers so far in 2025. As hinted earlier, Palantir is number 10, and it's actually much worse when you look at its performance on the NASDAQ, though that'll be a post coming up here. But Edison International, which was hit pretty hard by the California wildfires due to its California subsidiary here, they're actually down about 24%. Constellation Brands down 18%. Moderna number 3 here. They were also one of the worst performers last year. This year, they're third as of year to date right now this year. PCG, also to the downside, Las Vegas Sands on Semiconductor, Hershey's, Brown-Forman, Lamb Weston, and of course Palantir. So a lot of performers here out underperforming this year. If you want to look at this graphic on your own, check out TTV Research on X. Also really quickly here is a bit of a money talks, if you will. It's worth noting. Seeing this note here from Wells Fargo economists, they're saying they're expecting a decline here in the 10-year Treasury yield because we have even though we have a lot of strength in the U.S. economy, the outlook does have some potential for changes due to the U.S. trade policy. We do know that a lot of economists and even Fed members are basically saying they don't really know how to necessarily have or adjust their targets due to the potential tariffs and trade policy changes that could be made by incoming President Donald Trump. So they said because of that, there could be some concerns here about a decline of the 10-year Treasury. They actually also have forecasts here for 2 cuts from the Fed this year for rates after a, quote, prolonged hold. So unlike Bank of America, which is actually seeing rate hikes, Wells Fargo does think we'll have a couple cuts, but there'll be a lot of holds before that point. So a bit of an economic outlook here from Wells Fargo. Back to you.
Adara?
Thank you, Adara. And Escape Planet asks, what is your thesis on Intel? Well, my general thesis on Intel is they need to actually hire a CEO that can manage the turnaround of a lot of mismanagement and falling back way behind on technology and a bit of a lack of focus, missing out on AI because they were kind of too laser focused on a few other things. But you probably weren't asking about that. You probably were just curious about the trade. So, and again, Intel's been a bad stock, bad company for a while. So very quickly, here's a 15-minute chart on Intel.
Shit.
It's basically, if we come to my chart, we have like 3 minutes to go here. So there is the highs yesterday. There is some prior resistance here at about 1975. It failed, broke. The market was going with it. Now you're consolidating off of prior resistance. It's not exactly 1960 here, but it's a 1950 to 1960. The idea just being playing the trend lower high, shorting it here and giving it to that local top. If we trend continue down, then I have a stock that was weak this morning. And if the market stays weak, then that's what I want to be in. Scalp some to the low of the day. If it breaks, I think we can see 19.2. But stop is right above this. This is a 15-minute chart, that 1960 level on Intel. So Apple is doing it again, where it's trying to break trends. So just quickly, I'm going to mention that. And then I'll get over to show you guys. Tesla did get first it tracked the resistance at 414 change. It got to 415. Let's see if it can get to 416. Do not want this losing that 413 level here on Tesla. So a couple of bounces off the 413 level already. And if you're wondering where that comes from, it literally bounced off VWAP at this even dollar price yesterday. So not the full move being put in, but at least the afternoon move being put in and coming back down on Tesla, where it's been able to catch a bid twice now off that 413 level. Apple, so we'll try it again. I've already swung once and failed on a reversion on Apple. It just did another one in here. Same principle. I'll zoom in so you can see.
Like what the?
Take it breaking the prior bar, and we'll give it to the prior bar low. So that's just underneath 231 and a third. And I feel like it's the kind of trade that should only need to work once. But if Apple continues this trend to the downside, it just doesn't matter. Like I said, haven't really seen this kind of a program on Apple ever before. I'm sure it's happened. It's just never happened while I've been watching it. I can promise you that. So bit of a unique situation. Usually you're doing this kind of a trade on a chip name or a quantum name, but today it just happens to be Apple. Unabated. It's kind of weird what's happening, but it's real. And you got to be able to respect the price action. I'm questioning why I wasn't a seller of some Apple at the high.
I know, right? It's a tough trade. We always say you never want to really get out of Apple too much, but
yeah, it's like own it,
that
but
was
don't
probably
trade it.
a decent level.
There we go, Tesla. At least, see, it's like Apple went just now on that last little pump in the futures. The futures just pumped like 30 points.
Go NVIDIA.
Just got that 416 on Tesla, so we'll take that.
Whoosh.
Apple bounced in that same candle 15 cents. Tesla just bounced $1 on that candle, and this is what just happened in Apple. It's barely even registering. Wow, that is insane how weak this stock is. So make a decision, either scalp trade this or tighten it up or both. Maybe it's not worth giving it back to the prior bar because where is the buying on this thing? So maybe a tighter stop on Apple. But Tesla definitely has worked a few times here off that 213 level and coming into VWAP as we speak. Apple's going to give it a try. It's already 11 o'clock. Yeah. That means, we'll be back at 2.
Perfect.
And of course, this afternoon, aftermarket show is going to also have the Brecher Ledge back that we'll be able to talk about. But for now, it's going to be the Bash Brothers. And I feel like the timing of that Playmaker trade, it's like you never get to go long off the actual low that gets made. We're always chasing that move with the Playmaker trade. Let's see how it goes today. We got the Bash Brothers locked and loaded. Good one this morning. Let's kick it on over to learn to trade. And whatever the lesson is today.
Yeah.
Yes. What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade During the Midday. That is your boy, Joey Options, and we are not wearing the same thing today.
No, sir.
Let's wait for everyone to come on over from the other stream. All right, we're gonna try to shout out some new people today. Shout out to Sarah Bradette. I see you. One Micro Trader, as well as Benson, the Huts, Kahlua. It's usually the weekend, though. No, true? Cesar Sandoval, he's an OG. Let's keep going. I'm going to have to skip some names, guys. We want to see some new people. We got Jimmy J. The Sankofa, yeah, I've seen you before. Shout out to T-Money as well. Stock Up Whiskey 26, that's a new one. Stewart's a new one for me as well. Ryan Felipe and Mad Parks Update. We got Smokey Love. Yes, this is what I want to see. Damien. We got Trixie Hobbitary. Okay. EVO Hugs. We got Epic Strategy and Carlo Verdinho. Red Candle Magnet. Tell me if you're long or short, please.
Oh, Red Candle Magnet.
Simmers down. These are good, Joseph. Batags. We got CD Roofing. And who else we got over here? Damian Tarsa. Twitch Fanzu, and we got Mary L. We got Buy the Drip. Yeah, I've seen that one before, but I like it. We got Jose Ravi Fernandez and B Trader. Shout out to Ande Brooks as well as Jarhead Trader. My bad. Zaylin GM Lord. We got Mentally Unemployable. Good luck to you, my man. Dev H and Mikdad Muhammad. We got Tisha. Actually, it's Tisha. We got Jerome Hutt. Who else? Tobbs B. Who else we got over here? Come on. Parth Gandhi. And Water lover?
Water lover.
I'm a water lover.
I'm a big water guy.
I can get behind that.
Hydration.
Shout out to Trader
Nation,
TV, baby. Branded bottles. Good morning, Joseph. How it goes, my man?
Good, brother, good. I mean, a little bit of a mixed bag this morning.
about it.
No questioning that. One thing that is slightly disappointing for me anyways, unless you're a bear maybe, is TSM. A little bit of chop and churn there on that front, but you got something in the opening drive and not some bad numbers. I mean, from a year-over-year perspective, putting up some fantastic numbers is TSM, but we got a lesson today, and I know you're going to want to touch on something before we dive into it.
Absolutely. There's not too many, sadly, small cap gappers that are really doing all that well. Let's just be honest about it. The highest percentage winner right now since the bell rung is DATS. It's up a light 54 1/3%. I happen to like that one. That's the top left corner over here. Kind of looks bull flaggish. Not really respecting the volume weighted average price, so I'm hesitant to want to base anything off it, but I do see higher low wicks and a bit of a compression pattern with lower highs, but it is it looks sound. There's also TMC. This one, the chart pattern is not bad. This one was running yesterday as well. But the only concern with this bad boy is the volume. It be light, baby. The chart pattern, as I mentioned, looks good, but it's got to have a decent amount of volume to really be able to have a tighter spread so we can get in and get out without trouble. Our cap, though, is going to be on focus. I don't usually short these small cap gappers, but this one is a bit of a unique situation with the short report coming out midday. Shout out to Neil for calling that out. I'm going to keep my eye out on RCAT. I've got Holo, GTech, and ARQQ, but I got to tell you, I'm not really, I don't have too much in the way of ambition that today's a good day for small cap gappers. We'll trade what we can, but if we got to look at the Meg, we got to look at the Meg. What's the lesson today about?
Because Sharif, we're heading into some into earnings season. So I mean, we got to talk some options with earnings. So that's straddles and strangles and how to take advantage of some of these these earnings reports, guys. All right, so let's get right into it here. Sorry, just managing some stuff, and then sure enough, we will dive right in. So here we go, folks. Let's get the party started. For those, we've gone over this before, but again, it was kind of out of season when we did it, but now we're in season, just in the early stages of earnings. Sorry, guys. And yeah, so let's look what we can do and take advantage of that, because we know how options work. We can't open or close positions after the market or before the market. So we need to learn how to take advantage before the market, so we can do that with some straddles and strangles. And this is what we're going to be going over: the expected move, open interest, and of course implied volatility, because we're going to be paying for that with these contracts that you may be purchasing. All right, folks? So let's get right into it. So straddles can be classified as an intermediate level option strategy, best utilized when large increases in implied volatility are expected, including large expected moves. So those kind of go hand in hand there. So what we're looking at here is earnings announcements. We are rolling into earnings season, so this is why I wanted to bring this forward and just give you guys a reminder, all right? So consists of two options contracts with the same strike and expiration date. So stock XYZ is trading at $50. What we do here is we buy one at the money call and we buy one at the money put. That's as simple as it is, okay? That is a straddle, okay? So essentially what you're doing is you're just buying two contracts at the money, and what the objective of this is you need one to drastically outweigh the other in order to become profitable here, all right? So sorry guys, just let me manage this.
Yeah, I can.
No, that's all right. I'm good. Oh, I did not want to do that. Damn. Okay. Anyways, yeah, it's okay. Trade. So okay, here we are. Same thing again, guys. Trade is most profitable when a significant move is made in either direction or a large increase in implied volatility. All right. So max potential loss is the total debit paid for both contracts. So really risk adverse. That's something that's really, really positive about these, is that the amount that you pay for these contracts is the amount that you can lose. Do you necessarily want to lose that amount? No. So you can set a stop loss. But again, you're trying to play the earnings announcements, so that won't get triggered in the post-market or in the pre-market, okay? And we'll go over a little trick on how, if you play this strategy, you can lock in some of those gains, okay? So we'll touch on that in a second. But yeah, guys, we'll take a quick break, and then we'll go and we'll look on the options chain and see what Adair is up to.
It's actually a pink sheet or over-the-counter stock, but it's worth noting here, Bill Ackman actually just released, apparently here, a full 104-slide presentation with a 1-hour plus recording, talking about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. We know that he's talked about this in the past, openly admitting that I guess his group, Pershing Square, they're very much down on their investment there in Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. But regardless, interesting stuff here, I guess, with FNMA, and that would be Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac as well here. Keep an eye on those tickers if you're trading these over-the-counter stocks, because that is a pretty hefty presentation. Apparently, this was released about 17 hours ago, but it's now, or I guess it was initially teased 17 hours ago, came out today at 9 a.m., being circulated now on social media. Keep an eye on those tickers, guys. Back to you.
Thank you for that, Adira. Much appreciated, guys. All right, so here we are on the options chain, and this is what it would look like when you construct a straddle, okay? So here's your profit profile right here, guys. So you can see if you stay within that range, which is very tight, you're not going to be profitable on that trade. But once you exceed that kind of at the money and you move from that, you deviate from those prices, that's when you start to become profitable, okay? And make sure if you guys have any questions, put them in the chat. We'll do the best that we can to answer those. So again, here's a look at it. And one thing that I really want to point out here with the straddle is that when you execute this trade or when you open it, the goal is you need to beat the expected move, and we'll go over that shortly. But when you have two at-the-money contracts, what you want is one to significantly outweigh the other, all right? And then when that increase in implied volatility steps in, it'll also help mitigate the loss on the other hand. But you need one contract to significantly outweigh the other, okay, guys? So here we go. Let's get into some strangles. Is an option strategy that consists of buying out the money calls and puts in the same expiration cycle, okay? So here's an example. Stock XYZ is trading at $50. You buy a 55 call and buy a 45 put, okay? So this holds a little bit more of a bias. The strangle also requires a significant move in the stock price or IV, again, in order to become profitable in this trade. Due to the large profit potential, the strategy does have a lower probability of profit as well. Unlike the straddle, the max loss is the total debit paid for the long call and long put. You can create a more directional bias strangle by offsetting the deltas on the long call and put, okay? So again, what you would do is if you have your contracts and you're like, hey, I want to create a strangle, but I hold a little bit more bias to the one side, so you can just offset those contracts utilizing your delta, okay, guys? So here we go. This is how you construct a strangle. Here we have identical deltas on this front. And then, sorry, you don't see the profit profile here, but this is what you're looking at. The probability of profit is only around 41%. But then here you are, the max loss is the total debit paid on those contracts. So the max loss is $1,135, but you can obviously set that to something else, okay? But reminder, you cannot have that stop order executed in the pre or post market, okay? So that is the strangle, guys. So these are some examples. So this is what you want to look at, and these are prime examples of exceeding that expected move and what the ideal price action is looking like for the straddles and strangles, okay? So this is what you want to see. These are after the earnings report. You see the similarity in the time on Tesla and AMD. This was previous quarter. So here we go, and which is insane, Sharif. If you look at the price of Tesla here, $239 before the last report. Yeah, so there we go. We have on that one. And then AMD, $154. Yeah, exactly. So there we go. One depreciating and one appreciating. So this is what you want. When you construct a straddle and you open that right before the report or right before the close, this is what you want to see, okay? You want to exceed that expected move. You want price action to appreciate drastically so that your long call or your long put eventually outweighs the other, okay? So here's another example on PLTR, crazy, $46 when this was taken. Prime example of exceeding that expected move and the price action that you want to see. And then here is Meta, not necessarily the case. The chances are that come the market opening the next day, you're going to take a little bit of a loss because we did not exceed those moves, okay? And the same thing with NVDA. Here's a prime example of if you were to open a straddle just before the market close and then this prints, the chances are you're going to get hit on that IV and you're going to take a little bit of a loss on that trade. But if you're lucky, IV will pay for that, and then you can get out there out of this trade scratch-free, all right? So there's an example. So let's go over the expected move. Refers to the amount a stock is anticipated to move up or down from its current price. This concept is derived from the implied volatility of the options and provides a forecast of potential price movement with a specific time frame. If a stock's weekly expected move is 10%, then the stock's price is expected to be plus or minus 10% within the next week, okay? So implied volatility, this is a measure of the market's expectation of how much the stock price will fluctuate. Higher implied volatility can indicate a greater expected move. We know that with higher implied volatility comes options premiums. So you will increase options premiums. So you will be paying for that implied volatility, okay? So here's an example of what you would what we would look at for expected moves rolling into earnings. I put Pan W for my guy up here because we had I was looking at the earnings last time, and then we had NVDA as well too. So you can see the implied volatility and the expected moves on that front, okay, guys? So you can use these tools. You can also calculate your own expected move. It's the at-the-money straddle minus the two premiums times 0.18 or something along those lines. I'm pretty sure I'm correct on the formula, but again, fact check me, chat, if I am wrong. But it's the at-the-money straddle, subtract those two contracts, the two premiums, and then times 0.18, something along those lines. And here we go. Open interest. So in options trading refers to the total number of outstanding contracts that have been settled. It provides an outlook of the number of active positions in a particular contract rather than just the total volume traded, all right? So it's an indicator of market activity. Open interest is often used to gauge the level of activity and liquidity in the options market. Higher open interest indicates more active trading and greater liquidity, okay? So when you see those large orders of open interest in those whole and half dollars, those are great targets as well too, all right? So money flow, increasing options interest suggests that new money is flowing into the market, while decreasing open interest indicates outflows of the market, all right? So here's an example of just some high open interest, and you can see at those whole and half dollar strike prices. So you can see at 165 you got 70K, and then at 60 you have 90K, and then the quarters don't really have that much, the 175 halves. Those aren't the most utilized contracts, all right? So that's why when people are trading, they like those whole and half dollars, okay? So here's another example on the put side, and you can go to the whole and half dollar, and then that's where you're going to see the most open interest, and you can utilize those as profit targets, all right? So let's close this up, guys. So what we want to do is locate stocks with high-level catalysts in the upcoming days to pick which option strategy you want to implement, whether it's a straddle or a strangle. Check the expected move the options market is pricing in, and then look for high levels of open interest, guys. So hopefully that helped you guys and gave you a little bit of insight on straddles and strangles and help you take advantage of earnings other than just using common stock. What do you got going on, man?
All right, man. Let's talk about the trades we've got on DAX. We got into this one on the break of 660. I scalped into 7, got stopped out for the last remaining out through the break of 660. I wish I gave this a bit more room because it popped back up. I tried to use that 660 area over here that we rejected off multiple times as my area out. That was not the right idea. Or if it was, I should have given it a bit more room knowing that this was a little volatile right now. So keeping my eye on that. I'm also still involved in RCAT to the downside. A few pennies in the money. We've got some outs here in the low 90s. I'm waiting in the low 80s, but this is short sale restricted now. So in case you don't know what that is, once a stock is down 10% or up, up and down. It's short down, right, Neil? Is it both? It has to be down. Sorry, down. So down 10%, it no longer becomes allowable to short on a downtick. You got to short on an uptick. The whole point of that is to prevent the bleeding, so to speak. So once that 10% level gets triggered, it gets a little bit harder to obviously short because you got to wait for upticks, and as a result, the down moves become a bit more subdued. So that's what I'm involved in right now, looking for that print at 80s. We've just taken very small outs, still holding the majority of the position, waiting for this bad boy to, choose what it wants to do. It's putting in lower highs with respect to that 1030 pop, and then we got a 1020 pop, then we got a 1005 pop. So I'm anticipating the lower highs to mean we also get a break through that 980-ish area. So keeping my eye on that. I'm going to keep my eye on the MAG as well. The MAG just got a bit of a down move over here as the future had recovered above 21,450, but down we go again, and now we are testing 21,400 yet again. That is the closing print on the NQ March contract. So this is the break-even point right now that we're currently at, 21.4. It's still lower highs. I mean, you don't need to be a chartered market technician to see that area crest at 3 a.m. this morning. That's as high as we would get on the future at 21,567. And then each successive crest is lower than its predecessor, with also lower lows as well. So a bit of a downward channel right now on the market, and I'm going to keep my eye on that for any possible shorts on the MAG. With respect to the small cap gappers, I got to tell you, there's not a whole lot going on here. We had a good trade on DATS. FSI is starting to look like it might be a little bit better of a looker than DATS, but I'm not going to base anything off VWAP. Like, this one makes it awfully hard. I'm talking about FSI right now to trade my setup. My setup requires 3 basic rules. That it has a definable pre-market high, which this one doesn't, that it be trading above the definable pre-market high subsequent to the bell, which this one obviously can't, and it has to be above VWAP. This one has spent basically 50% of the time above VWAP and 50% of the time below. So why am I looking at it then? Well, number one, it's up 50% more, and it's got a symphony of higher lows with a flat top. Flat top being at 6 with higher lows. So this one becomes a candidate for an ascending wedge and a flat top break through that $6. It's about setting up the right way. So how do we set up the right way? What's the move here? Well, as I perceive it, it looks like it's got the higher low situation basically at the 20 exponential moving average on the 5. It's not a strict look in that regard. Like, I mean, over here, we don't touch the 20, nor do we over here. Here we get awfully close. Here we double wick off the 20 and then move above that 575 area where we had topped out. So my estimation is the money fills on FSI are going to be near the low end of this range. Now, if you want to base it on the 20, have at it. If you want to draw an incline trend line over here and try to base it off that trend line, have at it as well. So I'm going to keep my eye on this one. In fact, I kind of like it right now. So I'm going to weasel on over to FSI. It doesn't trade on the NASDAQ, so let's try New York. No, New York either, so Amex it is. Did it pop up? No, we can weasel in here. I can certainly work my way with a DCA into that $5 area. I don't have to have bottom wick. So right now we're long FSI at 537. I absolutely will be interested in adding to this one in and around the let's say 515 area. So I'll layer my orders because I may not get the entire fill at 515, and then we'll put a couple of orders, one at 520, one at 515, and then I gotta tell you, anything below this low area over here at 490, we're gonzino. So we're gonna take small size on this one. I think today warrants small size on these small cap gappers because you're not getting that continuity, that strength to say, hey, let me get in aggressively. There's a good chance that this curls up. I don't know if that today is the day for it. So weaseled into FSI over here, come what may. Back to ARCAT over here as it dances right at my entry. I am concerned a little bit about ARCAT. So let me make the case here. We got lower highs with that 1030 pop and then basically 10 being the midpoint, but we also have that 970, 960 dip and pop. So right now what we have is a compression pattern with lower highs and higher lows. But what's the trend that preceded the compression pattern is a downtrend. So this looks awfully like a bull pennant. If it's a bull pennant, then the textbook says it typically resolves in the direction of the trend, which is to the downside. Whether that happens or not, an entirely different story. And whether you're able to stay in the trade while it does that whole thing, that's a different story as well. So I'm going to keep my eye out on RCAT, obviously involved in it, but fully aware of the higher lows and the short sale restriction that could prevent this one from continuing to bleed to the downside. In case you're wondering what's going on with RCAT, it has a short seller report from our very good friends, and I'm kidding, of course, at Caresdale Capital, basically saying, Capital, let me just load it up over here, get a bit of more details. Watching Red Cat Holdings, Caresdale Capital short on shares of the company issues report titled Red Cat Holdings Flying Blind. I need a little bit more than that, man. Let's see if there's more details. Here we go. Red Cat fell, blah, 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 disclosed it's short, didn't immediately respond to Seeking Alpha's email request for comment. So they don't really have details on it. So I'll have to go to the website if I can, if I have time, and then we can basically see whether the report is kosher or not. Obviously, I won't be able to read on the show. So that's a look right now. FSI and RCAT. One long, one short, Joseph.
Hey, good looks, my friend. Yeah, if we could pull up my chart here real quick and see what we got going on. So yeah, this is what we got cooking up for IBIT here, guys, so far. Nice recovery off the bottom. For all my cam traders, I told you guys this before, I just check the cams every morning to see what's going on. And we were sitting on top of R4, S4, sorry, so that was looking for a bounce. We did break through that and then bounced off another cam pivot that I'm not aware of, but I'm sure that we did at that point. So here we go, added to this position as well too. We did take a little bit of a loss on TSMC, but here we are punched into here and just start parceling out, add on this pullback, and let's see if we can continue to the top side. But let's take a look at spot before we actually take a gander at TSM and see what we got going on. Guys, we drew this yesterday, okay? We drew this trend line yesterday, and sure enough, look what happens here. We bounced right off it, and we bounced off it aggressively, okay? So I think that we're gonna need to see some momentum step into Bitcoin in order for us to break through this, or we just chop around in this and then either pick a direction once price has compressed too much, and then sure enough, everything is bottled up, and then we need to break out and find a specific direction in this underlying asset. But here we are, bouncing off key resistance levels in Bitcoin, and now slowly starting to recover. The overall market is weak. We have Apple selling off aggressively, and as well as NVDA too. So here's Apple, guys, on the 5-minute, and what a micro pullback on this one. Just pure momentum, the purest of pure momentum, headed to the downside on Apple, almost waterfall-esque. And here we are continuing to make new lows, sitting around $230 on AAPL. Let's zoom out a little bit and see what we got going on from a daily standpoint. So guys, you know that I was telling Sharif about a little swing that I had, and it's looking like a good play on my behalf because I exited at like 6:30 this morning, and sure enough, here we are playing that double hammer, now breaking it to the downside, which can be slightly alarming and can possibly indicate that, hey, there's going to be some more downside as we break these hammer candles on AAPL. But guys, let's see what Adara's got going on for us at the big desk.
For one, Apple's knocking the door of 230, but that is not the reason I did this throw. I want to let you guys know I actually did read some of this RCAT short report from Caresdale Capital. It is worth noting here, the reports are generally pretty long. I read like the first thesis page, and basically it seems like the core or the crux here of their case against RCAT is basically that Red Cat Holdings, as they put it, their expectations here for a lot of these Army deals are detached from reality, specifically because their budget for what they're saying they're going to be getting from the Army contract-wise is insanely inflated to compare to what the Army actually gives in contracts. So the Army budget basically says they have about just under $25 million in 2025 to give to companies and projects like RCAT, but RCAT's saying they're going to be getting $80 million in 2025. So that's more than 3 times the Army's actual budget. They're basically saying that the RCAT administration or I guess managers there are, quote, crafty in reframing these expectations to the point where they're actually divorced from reality and statistical information that we're aware of. Also, apparently, because Red Cat announced this Army contract before the Army allowed it to do so and without the Army's permission, they basically endangered, according to Caresdale Capital, their chances of getting any other contracts. So they're saying that basically RCAT's management is pretty unwise and unrealistic with a lot of their goals here, guys. That's the long and short of it. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that, Adara. Appreciate the update. and the explanation. We'll have to keep an eye on the new, obviously, Defense Department with likely incoming candidate Pete Hegseth having gone through his confirmation hearings. Well, he hasn't been voted in quite yet, but so that'll be interesting there. Sorry, what was that, Andre?
More news with it.
Okay, we're going back to Adara.
We're back.
Sorry, guys, lots of news today. We do have now a report from Bloomberg News that the U.S. ban on TikTok is now poised to be delayed. We've had a couple headlines this morning suggesting that Donald Trump will try to delay this via an executive order. Now Bloomberg saying that regardless, it's poised to be delayed. Not much of a reaction here from Meta, which is pushing to the upside, but regardless, it is worth noting here. It looks like this potential delay in the ban is becoming increasingly likely. Back to you.
Thank you again for that, Adara. Important stuff, bro. Important stuff.
Sunday is when the ban was going to kick in, no?
Yeah. Well, there's so much information going online about what is going on. So, actually, TikTok itself may have a problem functioning, despite the fact that they're not going to be removed off people's phones, and it's only for the phone carriers and the app stores to stop carrying their app and for it not to be updated anymore. But here's the deal. Oracle hosts most, or I think all of their North American operations. So now all of a sudden Oracle gets put into the crossfire as well. What's their position with respect to the ban? So that's number one. So then people were saying, well, why can't they move it to servers offshore? China, for example, they've got plenty of server capacity there. That was floated as an idea. Latency issues become a problem there because North American users trying to access TikTok are going to obviously have issues as those trans-ocean cables have to carry all that. So that's a problem. That's number two. Number three, obviously Donald Trump throwing a complete curveball with this executive order. Does he even have the power to override a congressional law that was actually passed by Joe Biden, signed into law? That's the other thing. And the fourth thing after that is the Supreme Court still hasn't chimed in. We kind of got a bit of a glimpse of what the justices thought vis-a-vis the questioning that they posited to the lawyers, but by no means do we have anything conclusive. So it's absolutely wild card right now. What the hell goes on?
So that's good for ByteDance, right? So the longer that it's prolonged, everything
I would say so.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? So they can think like more strategic, like, hey, what are we gonna do here? Because Sharif and I were talking yesterday as well too, just saying having the ability to tap into the American consumer is the ultimate business venture, right? That's what you want to do. Absolutely. You want to be able to tap into the American economy and the consumer there. So to give that all up, I don't know if it's going to be worth it. Will it? Do you think it would collapse TikTok like ByteDance? Is it popular in China? I have no idea.
No, bro. And here's the thing. There's a growing movement. Ram, let me know if you've seen this as well. So not everybody, but a lot of people on TikTok are downloading this.
What is it?
Did you hear about this?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Ram, did you hear about Red Hat? So Ram's heard about it. So everybody's downloading Red Hat, which I find to be quite comical. It's like you're leaving one Chinese app to go to another because it's just going to get banned as well.
Exactly.
But apparently the algorithm is really good on that one as well. And a lot of people are migrating over. Funny thing is, it's entirely in Mandarin. You can't, there's not in English. So I was like, go Mandarin, right? Because I'm studying Mandarin, honestly, right? So in any event, this Red Hat thing's making a move online. We'll have to see if it's anything to keep an eye on, Joseph, or just a quick fad.
I'm really curious to know as well, too, guys. So put it in the chat if anybody is more knowledgeable than I am. How will that affect ByteDance? Will it cripple it? Because as I just mentioned, having the ability to tap into the American consumer is absolutely ideal for them. And if that dissipates, if that goes away, then what's going to happen to the company? So that's what I'm curious about. I personally don't have TikTok or very much social media, so I don't know too much about that one. But guys, let's take a look at the top performing sectors thus far. I'm getting a little defensive here as the VIX is up on the session. So utilities sitting in first place, up about 1.7% on the session, the highest of the groups. So real estate being 1.56%, and then the industrials are at 1.12%. All right. So guys, let's take a look at the bottom, and I guess we have a pretty good idea what isn't performing the best, and that's the consumer discretionary. All right. So Tesla selling off quite heavily. We're only down about 0.3% on the session, 0.3. And then the communication services, slightly green, only 0.02%. And I think that's being led by Google. I haven't taken a look at Meta just quite yet, but we will shortly. And then consumer staples in third last there, 0.05%. So yeah, utilities at the top of its class, a little bit of a sector rotation here, guys. Some money coming out of tech and into the utilities and real estate, it seems to be. So we know what Tesla, NVDA, and Apple have been up to. Let's take a quick look at Meta and see what we got up in the comms.
Sorry, guys. It's called a Red Note, not Red Hat. My mistake. I misspoke.
Yeah, Red Note. Okay, so did you download it?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did, eh?
Yeah. I got it. Baby. My phone's like doubly hacked now.
Oh, yeah. They know everything about you.
There's a hilarious TikTok video going on, and it's like this Asian guy. He's pretending to be the Chinese spy. He's like, "Hello, TikTok. Chinese spy here.
Yeah.
I want to say goodbye. It's been nice knowing you. Jennifer in California, you eat too much, blah, blah, blah." He's like reciting, pretending to be like spying on people's, you know what?
I remember those memes that would be like when they would pretend the Secret Service would text your phone. It's like, yeah, bro, don't do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So here's Meta, guys, slowly climbing higher, still negative on the session. But as Google and Meta continue to crawl higher, I think it can drag the market up. But again, NVDA, Tesla, and Apple extremely weak. So that's where you get that push and pull effect in the market, guys. So, and I mentioned earlier, the VIX is up as well, too. So let's take a quick look at the VIX before we send it off back to my guy. And here we are, the volatility or the fear index, guys. And this is where you can see, I mentioned this time and time again, the inverse correlation between them. And sure enough, here we go from a 5-minute standpoint. Slowly climbing higher. Again, market moves up, VIX comes down, market moves down, VIX goes up, guys. So about neutral here on the fear index.
I love it. You guys are making me chuckle in the chat. All right, guys, we've got a couple of positions on right now. Let's talk about it. So we're first and foremost, FSI, we're long at 29s. I've had one beak wetter here. This is going to have to hold up above that 490 area trough. Otherwise, I'm gone. It looks like it's defending 5, caught in a bit of a range. I was seeing higher lows. That pattern has now kind of been put into question with this area trough breaking 511. So we'll see what this one does. Built up a position in it. Let's see how this one does. PHIO involved in this one as well at 55s. Multiple outs already on this. I had the move up into about $4 we took there. Then it came into that 3.5 where VWAP is, where I perceive to be that area initial resistance that we rejected off. So I put a dip trade at 350, and let's see if we can move back up above 370. We're dancing right now in the 3 mid-60s. Okay, 70 showing up right now on the ask. I'm waiting at 74s. Let's see if we can get a bit of a pop on this one. Up 38.25. It's a good look, but it's not as strong as we've seen it on previous days. That is just kind of the fact of the matter. There we go. We got the fill at 75. So we're keeping an eye on this one. My next out on this one is 82. And then above that, it's going to be 4. So PHIO, 40%, and it's a trade de novo. And I like to use Latin during the midday because it makes me feel special. But that's all it means is that it's a new trade. This one didn't really start trading, whether after the bell at 9:30 or in the pre-market, which is when a lot of these small cap gappers start moving, okay? So this one really started getting the volume under it right at the beginning of the show, right at 11 o'clock. So keeping an eye on this one. There we go. Moving. Okay, so we got that fill at 75, but we're still fill-less at 82. Let's see if that one wants to move back up. 80s now on the ask. Okay, good. Let's see if we can pop up a little bit above 80s. The spread on this one is not too bad. I've seen it as wide as 3, as tight as 1. Here we go, 80s again. There it is. Okay, good. So we got the fill at 82. Now I'm going to wait north of 4, and then I'm waiting at 4.25. So we want to take a little bit more over here. I'm happy with that 3.5 defend. It was a sound ad. Let's see if it's going to be a sound trade or it's going to go against me. Now let's go look at RCAT because I've been kind of dilly-dallying over here on RCAT, and it's been hanging out at 10, a little bit above 10, a little bit below 10. We're 9 pennies out of the money. We've got a couple of fills under our belt. I talked about the compression pattern on this one with lower highs but higher lows, and the fact that it looks like a bear pennant. All that is great to talk about from a textbook perspective. It's not executing that way right now, IRL. So I've moved down my stop from that 10.30 into 10.25. I don't want to give back too much on this monster because it can just be quite volatile. Anyway, it's short sale restricted. It seems to be defending 10 for whatever reason. So we'll keep an eye on that. Look, it's still rejecting the 10 exponential moving average on the 5-minute chart, but it's got higher lows. So I am concerned about this one. I definitely need to keep an eye out on it. FSI. FSI is now still hanging out near that 510 area. Yeah, and this one is just looking more inclined like it wants to break down than really start, maintaining that higher low situation. So I'm unsure how to play this one. I got to tell you the truth. Based on my entry, we're 529. It's printing 516s right now. We had the fill at 540s there, but I don't know. I'm going to let this one cook. I've got my stop in place. Let's see what happens with this one. Let's go back now to PHIO. PHIO, we get the fill at 82, but that's it. No continuity and no break of the previous high. The previous high was around that 395. So zig and zag right now. These small cap gappers lacking continuity, it looks like, for the moment. Okay, this is another one that we had. G-Tech. Earlier on, that was up a lot more than it is right now. It just broke down aggressively off that 232 VWAP area all the way down into 202. So this one lacking volume as a characteristic of it, and now breaking down below VWAP. This one probably doesn't have much time left on the side charts over here before it gets replaced by something else. Last one here before we send it to your boy Joey Options. TMC. Again, I complain about the volume on some of these, but the chart pattern on this one looks good. You have that 145 area top, price action area top, and then you have VWAP at 144. Lo and behold, it retraces from 153, finds a spot to bounce off at 144 vis-a-vis the volume weighted average price. So we'll keep tabs on these monsters right now. Volatile bunch. Keep in mind, guys, these ones are around for a good time, but not a long time. So that's the situation. Joseph.
Hey, thank you for that one, guys. Here we go. If we can pull up my chart here real quick. Continuing just to hold some. We don't have too much, not even 10% or so of what we started with, but we added a little bit here, starting to pull back in. I mean, the market is extremely weak. We'll take a look at Tesla in the chat. Vin asked me to. But one thing I want to point out here, I was talking to my good buddy Greg here, and I'm like, here, let's see how this NVDA 5-minute candle is about to print. It was forming a hammer, but then sure enough, that selling pressure stepped right in. And then as with that continuing to the downside with immense pressure and momentum there, guys, let's zoom out and see what we got going on. So yeah, almost giving up the majority of yesterday's gains, going back, heading back in to that opening price. But here we are on NVDA, just chopping around in this range. Probably waiting for that earnings report there, guys. We're going to send it off to Dara real quick, but when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about Tesla, and then I'm going to ask you guys some questions.
I like it.
We're going to take a look here at earnings because now we can have our earnings segment at 11:40 a.m. back now that earnings season is back. Before you digest this, make sure that you vote in the poll for what ticker you want to see discussed on the rundown. Don't worry, you'll get an opportunity to vote for 4 new tickers heading back here at 1 p.m. Sorry about that. Apple, Tesla, AMD, TSM. Pick one, and then get to choose from another set of 4 in about, I guess, an hour and a half. But right now, we're going to talk about TSM earnings. Other than this extremely high CapEx, which was, or I guess that CapEx guidance for fiscal 2025, really strong report. Revenue here, $25.0 billion to $25 billion they're expecting here for Q1. That is well above the estimates here, or not well, the higher end here is well above estimates. They did also beat for EPS and for revenue for Q4 2024. But this CapEx is actually pushed up, like sympathy plays like Applied Materials, much higher than what we're seeing with Taiwan Semi. Applied Materials actually at day's high. So TSM may be a better sympathy play for these other chip manufacturers than it is for itself. Fun fact too, Morris Chang, the founder of the company, actually at one point approached Jensen Huang to be its CEO. So TSM, interesting look here, and just a little fun fact about that one. We also have, though, UNH, which is having a much worse time here than TSM. Basically pushing to the lows after rejecting 540 off the open. They did beat on EPS, but they missed on sales. Both metrics, though, and all of their, I guess, sub-companies and segments actually did experience year-over-year growth. So that is of note. Though they did miss the revenue, it's still up on a year-over-year basis. They reaffirmed their guidance for sales and for EPS for fiscal 2025. The sales guidance was above estimates, but the midpoint of their EPS guidance missed estimates. It'll be a bit of a light day for earnings tonight. Just JB Hunt here. You can check that out with Sean and I and our special guest, Chris Brecher, on the market recap at 4 p.m. Back to the Bash Brothers.
Hey, it's in English.
Yeah,
Okay,
comedy
there we go.
skits. Remember that improv show that used to be on TV? I forget what it was called back in the day. Yeah. Whose line is it anyways? There we go. Yeah, that was a good one. But yeah, guys, here we are. We're going to take a look at Tesla, starting to give back the majority of yesterday's gains as well, too. So forming a lower high off that peak. I wouldn't call it alarming or anything along those lines. So we'll continue to look at this and monitor Tesla. Let's zoom in and see what we got going on from an intraday perspective. And sure enough, here we go, breaking key support levels around 412.60, and then now continuing to the downside. I mean, at yesterday's high, we were sitting around 430, and the all-time highs are around 490, we'll call it even. And I'm like, it's only going to take a couple of sessions for this thing to start breaching the all-time highs here. But with the overall market and some of these heavy tech names starting to sell and continuing to sell, that might be a little bit of a headwind here for Tesla. But guys, what I wanted to ask you guys in the chat, because I know we got a lot of people watching here, 4,500, and we haven't really gone over this or asked anybody. But what I want to know is, do you implement options into your trading? It's just going to be a yes or no question. So it's either yes, you implement options into your trading, or no, okay? And then we'll touch on to that. So guys, just chime in. Let me know if you guys trade options or if you do not, okay? And that's just a yes or no question, and put it in the chat because I want to see what the overall sentiment in the chat is. I know a lot of people do trade them, so I'm curious to see from a percentage metric if we do or we do not, all right? So we're getting a little bit of a mixed bag here, guys. Continue to put them in, funnel those answers into the chat, and here we go. Yeah, so it is really a mixed bag here, Sharif, if you see. Yeah, we're getting response. It is, but a lot to the no side. And I'm curious, is like, okay, when I first started, I didn't even know anything about options, okay? And then I had people within my community just starting to trade them, and they're like, they're really curious about this leverage derivative and what's going on with this thing and how you can implement it from a day trading standpoint. And I'm also curious on you guys, is it that you don't know about or you don't want to trade them, or you've had bad past experiences trading options, okay? So, I mean, it's good to expand your general knowledge. Whether you use them or implement them from your day-to-day practice or not, it's totally up to you. But to expand that, I think is really important. And Obi and I were talking the other day as well, too, Sharif. And I'm like, I don't know too much about futures, and that's where I lack knowledge. So it is my goal to get a more thorough understanding of the futures market.
My understanding from one of the traders who used to be here, exclusively traded futures. There was a couple. There was an individual by the name of Arun, which a lot of the chat will know. And there was Steph. I'm sure. Were you here when Steph was here?
No, I never.
Okay.
No, I
So
didn't.
she traded the ES exclusively as well. And my understanding is the futures mostly, obviously traders use it, but it's mostly used by bigger money looking to hedge positions. So if you were to take a large position in a Mag 7, for example, you might want to get short the future just to offset as a hedge. That's my understanding for the majority of futures. And then futures in commodities as well, super interesting because it's like people also use it to hedge. Case in point, airlines. They've got to buy and secure their fuel 6 months, 12 months in advance. So what they're looking to do is they're looking to get certainty for their balance sheets, and they look to the futures market in order to be able to get that certainty for their hedge.
It's also it's a tool to also like measure gold and everything along those lines as well too, right? So so that is one of my goals. Guys, thanks for participating in that simple question. We really like the participation in the chat, and we just want to keep you guys engaged as well too. And honestly, like I just mentioned, I don't know too much about futures. I knew when I first started, you have to start somewhere. I knew nothing about options, and I thought this was too complicated of a vehicle to understand. But the more you practice and the more you just be around those situations, you'll get a better understanding. So yeah.
Darth Buddha, kind of same point was trying to get there. Farmers hedge their crops using futures. Yeah, absolutely. That's my understanding as well. So. You guys are spot on today in the chat. All right, guys, we're having a day right now with PHIO. I've got one more out. We're long 355. I'm waiting at 425. It's knocked on the door of 420. Come on now. Multiple times. all times they've been closed on, bang, there we take out that $250, Joseph. There we go. So good look right now on your boy PHIO. I'm really pleased with this one, not because it's a big money maker, but because I executed right technically. I like that 3.5 for an area hold because it rejected off there. That was the top end of the initial bull flag. And then, obviously we got in initially at 370 and then the add at 350. Pleased me very much. So we'll keep an eye out on this one. But it looks like we are not doing as well nearly on your boy RCAT over here. The higher lows situation are now much more pronounced than your lower highs. So I think personally, I'm about to be on the receiving end of a 30-penny loser for the remaining amount. Thankfully, I was able to de-risk in the low 90s, high 80s there. So we were able to get some out, but the remaining amount is going to be a bit of a loser if we break that 1030 area. So yeah, you win some, you lose some, and it looks like I'll be losing some on this one over here. This is the one that's kind of done bupkis. FSI. So it had a very discernible uptrend initially with the higher lows and the flat top into 6. I said to myself, this looks awfully close to an ascending wedge, getting towards the bottom end of the range. And that's exactly what I did. But all of a sudden, when I did that, the trend stopped. And by trend, I mean that higher low trend. It's all over. Now we're kind of sideways consolidating above that $5 area. So we'll keep an eye out on this one. I mean, whatever happens, happens. We get triggered out. That's the nature of the beast. So keeping my eye out on that. It looks like I will get triggered out of RCAT over here. As I see it's coming into 28s. If it prints anything above 30, which it looks like it will, then I will get stopped out. Now here's the deal. The volume weighted average price at 37. So should I be moving up my stop? Rather than looking for the price action area resistance over here, should I be moving it up to the volume weighted average price? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let it trigger. So it's going to trigger here. I'm out. I'm going to take a bit of a loser. But I'm going to watch to see what VWAP does here. If VWAP rejects and it looks like it's going to make its way back down, well, then I have a better opportunity to weasel into this one at a better price. So I'm going to keep my eye out on this one. Oh, in fact, we went long and I just got some out there. That's funny. So I'm going to keep my eye out on this one. If it wants to turn back off VWAP, then I'll take it short. Otherwise, we're going to have to deal with the L that we just took on this one right now on RCAT. So a bit of a tougher look here for RCAT. And it is kind of rejecting VWAP now that I'm watching it. What is the deal here? T-Money double bottom at the previous lows on Apple. Oh, brother, I'm not even looking at the mag today. Not yet. Let these small cap gappers fizzle out. And then if I have to, I'll look at the mag. Mihail Momo, ABAT, volume is weak, but this thing is just creeping up all morning to that high. Let's have a look at ABAT. Weasel on over to this. There we go. ABAT, my mistake. All right, what do we got? Oh, that's a good look. Why are so many small cap gappers of this same kind of look? I mean, I'm gonna bring in.
Yeah, bring it. Let's see a couple.
Look at this.
We could break that.
Here's the thing, though. Look at these guys. I mean, why are so many of them? Look, FSI, DATS, and ABAT. All very similar patterns, kind of bull flaggish, but very wicky. So interesting look on these small cap gappers today. They all have very similar looks. Yeah, I'm going to put ABAT on, obviously. We're going to take off GTech because that's broken down below VWAP. So, yeah, thank you for calling that out. I like it, obviously. Here, this one looks like it's quite respectful of VWAP. So that 213 area, but now as I see it, we're not putting in higher wicks anymore. We're putting lower wicks. So this could be rounding top and then a breakthrough VWAP. Volume, as you said, though, really dwindling there. The 930 spike had about 350,000 shares, and now we're fighting here to print anything above 50,000 per 5-minute candle. That is weak. So I do agree with you on that one. Let me know if you end up executing on it and what your entry is. I'm going to keep an eye on it. If it wants to change trend, then I could definitely be persuaded to get into this one, Joseph.
Hey, good luck there, guys. I was just reading through some of the comments as well, too, in the chat, and a lot of people are saying too complicated. I want to get a thorough understanding of equities first. And you know what? You guys are not wrong. Are they complicated? Yes, they can be. Trading was complicated when we first get into it, too. It may seem like hieroglyphics or whatever, but again, The more you are around something, and the more you just attempt to try and just continue to read and continue to push, you will get an understanding. But yes, you're not wrong. Get an understanding of common stock and how the market moves, and then you can use options as an additional tool as well too, guys. So thanks for chiming in on that. Much appreciated. And there's something else that I was thinking of, I wanted to talk about, but that's all right. It slipped my mind, and I'm sure it'll resurface here shortly. But here we are, guys, here in some IBIT. Continuing to hover, nice appreciation throughout the session, but now we've double topped, all right? So that can be slightly alarming. Look to take some out if we break that pivot level low around 56.38. So that will be really important. If it breaks, then we're gonna have to reassess the situation and then maybe find something else. But as of right now, this is the entry. Those are the partials, and then we do a little addition here, and now just hovering around these levels with the overall market being really, really weak here, guys. NVDA continuing to move to the south side, which isn't going to be good. But here, one thing I do like, guys, now that I look at it from a 5-minute time frame, is let's see how these hammer candles at the low look. I mentioned this time and time again. These are the signals that we want to look for, and we had some pretty good trades over the past couple of weeks off of these specific signals. If we break 134.09, then the thesis is invalid, and then you have to reassess the situation and come up with a new plan, okay? So let's see what we got going on. Maybe we'll start to dip our toes into this NVDA and see if we get that bounce, because we have been selling for the majority of the session. So here we go. We're going to get into some NVDA and look for that potential bounce. All right, so if we break 134, then we're out of town. And that is it, guys. So yeah, continue to let us know what you're looking at in the chat. Let's go over some of the top volume stocks here on the session and see who we got at the top of the class. And I don't really have to guess. I probably know who is. Sharif, can you guess who's at the top of the class? Most volume traded today is
Tesla or NVIDIA?
Yeah, that's it. And so 97 million shares traded on NVDA. SockCell sitting in second place with 46 million, and then TSLA with 38.8 million shares traded, and then PLTR sitting in fourth place as well too. So let's see what's going on. Pathic says, Joe, we should get a bounce here. VIX is dropping. Good to see. I'm glad that you're paying attention to the VIX as well too, guys, because that is important. It can help give direction as well if you're trading options, but also just a good gauge on the overall market sentiment. I told you the inverse correlation between the market and the VIX. Keep an eye on that, all right? Sometimes I don't pay enough attention to it, but sometimes when I do, it really helps me with my positioning, all right? So when I'm like, oh, okay, I'm looking for a long, but the VIX is continuing to appreciate or climb higher, then I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't the sentiment I'm looking for in the market, because if the VIX is going higher, that usually means the market is going lower, so you're not gonna get those deeper bounce plays that you are looking for. So, Joe, if it helps others, I started long positions, then swing, then options. I use the options to replace swings, helps manage the risk and preserve capital. So charting for years to learn stocks. Zero gravity Zen. Well said, perfectly said. We'll give you the bang and the money storm on that, because that is exactly almost step by step on how I started. I didn't start diving into options until about a year or 2 years into my tenure in trading. So there it is, one step at a time, and then eventually one chapter at a time, and then eventually you create a book, okay? So there it is on that one, guys. Nice look there, Zero Zen. Really like that input. Greg V, market breadth creeping up slowly. That's good for the market, Greg. I know you're always keeping an eye on advancing and declining, and from a percentage metric too, you always make sure that I know, hey, breadth is weak today, our breadth is strong, and sure enough, with stronger breadth, then the market will start to climb higher and recover, guys. But here we are in NVDA, slowly starting to climb off those bottoms.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on that, because it got into pivot points. And yeah, this 134.50, there seems to be a lot of buying around this 134.50-ish area. We'll keep an eye on that for sure. All right, what's the situation over here? PHIO is still going, guys. So that out that we had at 4.25, well, it just printed about 25 pennies higher than that, 453 now HOD. VWAP is at 388, but I'll submit to you 4, likely an important level if this one comes down, just because of the initial rejection at 4 and then the whiffle and the waffle sideways, a little bit above, a little bit below 4. So 4 could be an interesting dip trade on PHIO. Here it comes, aggressive selling into that $0.25 on this name. So I'll keep tabs on that. What else we got over here? Let's just go back to NVIDIA for a second, because this could be an interesting out. I'm just less inclined to want to take anything right now on the future with this one, with the future still putting in lower lows and lower highs. So I'm just going to pack my patience on this one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to leave this one alone. I don't want to be jumping too much between the small caps and the large caps. All right, let's have a look at our friend RCAT over here. Still involved in this name, still no ad at that 1030. Did reject VWAP and then made a red candle. So we'll see if this one wants to come back in. ABAT still kind of moving sideways, nothing going on with that one after someone pointed it out. It's only up 16% again. Weekday today, I would say, for small caps, not too many running, not too many names, not as much direction as we typically see with these small cap gappers. The RUS is the only indice that's actually that's green. The ES is flipping back and forth from 0 to, a little bit above 0, a little bit below. The Dow as well, right at that flat mark, but the RUS is actually green. The reason I mentioned the RUS, obviously, is because I'm looking at these small caps, trying to gauge the strength of small caps vis-a-vis the RUS. So we'll keep tabs on that, obviously. What else you guys looking there at in the chat? Jay Lee telling me Wolf, still climbing, never played it, was too worried of Hwadunk. Let's have a look at WOLF for the OG, Jay Lee. WOLG,
Jay Lee.
Hey. Yeah, good look, Jay. I mean, look, it's not parabolic or anything, but that's a healthy move up from yesterday, 8 a.m. to today. We're up 46%. Light work, up 5.25 today, obviously, but from that yesterday print at 8 a.m. when it really started getting its footing under it, we're up almost 50%. The break-even point today, Jay, on WOLF is at 6 2/3. Looks like 668 was the HOD, but I see your point. That $7 area, not super clean in terms of its break, but I'm hesitant to jump into this as a short, Jay, just because it's above the 10 exponential, and you know my rules. I don't short these small cap gappers if they're trading north of the volume weighted average price. I'm sure there's people that do, and they do it very well, but I will not. So I'll keep an eye out on that one. I'm still keeping my eye on FSIs. It's still definitely dancing in front of 5, but this one really does look like it wants to break down now below $5. I've placed my stop below this area crest or area trough over here. We'll have to see if 5 ends up holding. It held before $5 level, but I think the pattern was fundamentally different last time around than it is this time. So this doesn't bode well for FSI, and RCAT is breaking above VWAP again. So let's have a look at this one. Anything above this pop right here at 1045s and we're gone. RCAT recovering well here, man, off that 959 low of day, and now it's at VWAP and looking to take that 10.5 area. By the way, the closing print yesterday on RCAT's around 1090. So that if it moves up into 11, that could be an interesting area to punch in short as well. Let's see what everybody else is looking at over here. People saying Walmart, J&J, XTIA. Okay, all good names. None of them are small. Well, maybe XTIA. Let's have a look at that one. XTIA. What is this one? XTI Aerospace. Oh, okay. 11.5% midday pop there with some volume. Still light volume, about 71,000 shares per 5-minute candle, but up nicely 12 and a fifth here. Shout out to Hertz Scrambler for calling that one out, Joseph.
A good look there, my guys. So yeah, let's see what we got going on here. Let's pull up NVDA here. That bounce off the bottom looking pretty good thus far. Let's see if we can continue. We don't know how deep this pullback is going to be, considering the momentum to the downside was extremely weak. So yeah, a little bit of a bounce, but if it starts to come back and you see price really turn around and that tape get weak, as you can see right now, then it might be a good signal to get out of Dodge and potentially some more downside. But as of right now, nice bounce, breaking through some key resistance levels around 138.40 here on NVDA. We're not even down a percentage point on this thing. So only down about 0.85% on the day. But yeah, the overall market is a choppy mess. We know that it was jobless claims this morning, right? Yeah, it came in a little hot. What was it? Let me pull up the actual sheet here and see what we got going on, because I know
like 20,000 miss.
Yeah, it was something along those lines. So actuals around like 217,000, and then prior revised consensus was 212K. So a little hot there. Some more reports or claims than what was projected. But again, you've seen the print on CPI yesterday, PPI the day before. So again, some push and pull in the market, and we're rolling into earnings seasons as well, too, guys. So yeah, that is that. Yeah, I don't know. Do we have Neil's lesson of the day?
We'll wait for the call.
Okay, we'll wait for the call there and see what we got going on. We just had the first poll going up, guys. Now the Playmaker poll is about to come up here. Oh, look at that, on the ball. Let's see, right on the ball there. Let's see, I did a little modifications to it, too.
This guy's putting in work.
Yeah, man, come on. We got to make it a little...
And the other one,
yeah, and the other one, too. Yeah, we'll get that going there. There shortly. I think you guys will have fun in that, but we're just trying to make it a little more attractive there and not so bland, so we can see what we have going on. But yeah, NVDA continuing to crawl higher here, and the market's starting to turn around here. We are going to send it off to Adara and then Neil.
Take a look here at the market. The NASDAQ, surprisingly, and I'm being slightly sarcastic here, still flat on the day. Has been a very choppy session here for these major indices. S&P 500 actually faring slightly better, both from a percentage standpoint and also on the chart. Looks like we're making slightly higher lows here, potentially poised for a breakout, but the SPY faces some pretty clear overhead resistance around that 594 and a third level, We do have all of these TikTok-related stocks on watch. The TikTok tailwind, as Sharif calls it, could actually be a little bit in danger, because we do have both, first, a Washington Post report suggesting that Donald Trump's team will try to issue an executive order, though it seems unlikely from a technical standpoint that could go through, basically stopping the ban. Now we actually have, as reported by Bloomberg, a member of the incoming Trump administration saying that they will stop the app from going dark. So keep that on watch. Lots of attempts here to turn in this market. Apple actually making a little bit of a bounce down, about 3% here. We heard a little bit about those iPhone sales and a bit of a change in the tides there in terms of number one, specifically in China, with Apple being usurped. And a lot of these earnings names here on the NYSE on watch as well. United Health, we have TSM, and we have the banks. But before we send you to Neil and his always exciting listen of the day, we're going to take a moment to thank our friends at Prop Firm Match. Are you a skilled trader but lacking capital? Prop firms offer the opportunity to trade with simulated funds, allowing you to showcase your skills, access accounts sizes ranging from $5,000 to $500,000, and you could start with as little as $20. But with over 500 prop firms out there, how do you find which ones are the best? That's where Prop Firm Match steps in. Prop Firm Match is your go-to platform for finding and comparing only the most esteemed prop firms with proven track records and consistent long-term payment histories. Access over 4,500 verified reviews, explore payment histories, and discover the best current deals all in one place. So scan that QR code or visit propfirmmatch.com today and find the perfect prop firm for you. But for now, we're going to go back to Neil and his lesson of the day. Take it away, Neil.
Your lesson of the day. When they are buying, see AMAT, or when they are selling, see Apple, just join them. And you're going to ask yourself this question. Who do I mean by they? What do you guys think? Who are they? It doesn't matter who they are. Whether it's the programs, whether it's institutions, whether it's Shaw, I don't care. When you see something like this, I have zero shorts on Apple today. And I like The Rock. No, I have zero shorts on Apple today. Okay, fine, maybe we'll get one of these longs to actually extend. I'm in another one off the 230 level, which we said. But program buying is sort of obvious after it starts. Or selling in this particular case. I know I keep saying buying as if it's the only thing that does happen. I will get to AMAT in a second. It's not obvious right away. Like, you have a standard break of the low on Apple. You have a standard break of the low wick at VWAP. That's a standard short entry if you're bearish on the stock. Let me give you a look at yesterday's yesterday as well. You've got another standard play where it kind of breaks down underneath prior support in the afternoon. Like there's a bunch of those things happening, but it's when it gets past here, at about 236.5, the little pivot spot, and does a pretty nasty wicking 236. Looks to me like it was trying to catch a bit of a bid there very early on, and then another rejection of VWAP. It's just, at some point, you look at this and that resolution, and then it holds a trend, breaks the low. You're now down $4 when it makes this low break here at 236, or maybe $3.50 from the top. At that point, you can start to see that you've got a little bit of trend. It's not even obvious then. Where do you think it's obvious? Everyone's staring probably at something like a 235. What happens when the buyers come in on an even dollar level? It breaks 235 here. The first green candle holding 235, incorrect. Holding under the even dollar 235 is the first green candle on Apple. First one of the day. Rejecting an obvious even dollar break back out and then resume trend down. This is the point where at about 10, 12, 10, 15, where it's like, okay, I mean, what are we looking at here? We're looking at a trend short to the downside. And you can make the argument that a lot of times, I say the same thing, when you have a trend line like this, I'm looking to revert it. But at some point, you just want to take any setup you can find on a deep and obvious trend like this. And so you start, and you can say you're like overtraining these, but like when I look at when it breaks down here, if you're looking for a short, now granted, I didn't take any of these, look at it level off at 234. So see this candle right in here at 10:15 on a 3-minute. There's it trying to break back above 234 and failing it, then breaking local bottom. That's a reasonable entry. It's like 233.80 in here, where you can stop it at either 234.30 for a 50-cent stop, or you can go with a tighter stop. Just to get involved in the trend. Like little things like that, just one little rejection candle at an even dollar, join, tight stop, try to get into it. Now it's easy to look at this in hindsight, but at the end of the day, if you're not bearish on Apple, you're probably not going to have that trade. But here's where you can look at it in the other direction, because while the market, as everyone has been able to see, has been making lower highs all the way through. That's the NASDAQ making lower highs since the morning. Well, that was all going on. There was a stock that was bullish that got some program buying into it and never really stopped, and that would be AMAT. Now, we were talking about this in the context of TSM earnings. Okay, well, the CapEx spend was good, and that's going to be good for AMAT, LAM, and ASML. Well, I got away from this. Ultimately, I tend to find myself not liking failed breaks of highs of the day when the market is going in the other direction. I tend to not be fighting things, but overall, that saved me more times than it's burned me. That said, followed a rule, failed high break when the market was trending the other direction and I trailed out. Right after that, it resumes on trend. When we talk about program buying, this is what we're getting at. It stays on trend after a failed high break when the market is weak, when other chip names aren't doing it, when NVIDIA wasn't doing it at that moment. So where's your entry point? What can you do about that? Look for a very simplistic, basic, non-complicated entry point. Right here. Just like in Apple, identify the trend, identify the first green candle and what happens after. Identify the first red candle and what happens after. It breaks. This candle here is after the high break, previous high. Look where it bases, right at the prior high, and then breaks it back out. So whether you're taking the break of this prior candle or somehow magically getting this fill here, no, I think you're taking this break of the high, 188.16 or so. Now you can stop that at this prior bar open or close, whatever you want to do, or you give it a wider stop down into here. It's just a matter of looking for the first, when it resumes trend instantly, when a stock that you think is going to go the other way and revert, if it resumes trend instantly, that's a good sign that you've got somebody that wants it. And when somebody else wants it, you want to get and join the party. It's so much better to join buying or selling than it is to try to make it happen in the other direction or make it happen in general. In this particular case, sometimes it's just about that first red candle in a green move that you can try to find an entry off of. Obviously, I should be back in AMAT. I'm not. I did go back into Robinhood at least, but that's not nearly as good as AMAT. And just like Apple, you're just trying to simplify it at this point, right? Like I don't know who's selling Apple today. I don't know. Like, well, maybe we'll find some 13F filing or some nonsense in a couple of weeks or something along those lines that gives us an indication of what was going on in Apple. It doesn't really matter. What matters is it was just all red candles. And the very first green candle on the 3-minute of the day, it gave you a hint and it gave you a setup for the short. And ultimately, you have to be looking at it. And I want to thank everybody in the chat because I was looking at chips and Hood and crypto and pretty much everywhere that wasn't Apple until you guys said it was blowing up. So thank you guys for pointing it up because you want to look at something like Apple when it's making those moves. Ultimately, you have to give it a shot when it's moving like this. But the earlier you can join that short, the better. Like if it supports at 230, 232, Apple did give you multiple opportunities. Before it got to the levels that you were looking at, I was looking for a bounce, there was right here. And now that it's at the 230, we'll see. But you've got to be able to see that pattern, join it as quickly as possible. I'm not advocating waiting for it to get to the low, waiting for it to get all the way down here and shorting it. No, but before it gets to that price, maybe see what you can find a little bit earlier. So join the trend. Doesn't matter who's making it. All that matters is it's distinct price action, and you want to follow it. That's your lesson of the day.
Thank you very much, Neil. Informative, eloquent, and just all around awesome. As always, Neil Roberts, every day around that noon hour, dropping his lesson of the day. We got the Playmaker poll on, baby.
On, baby.
So
yeah,
make sure to weasel your way on into the chat and vote. We have about 425 votes right now. Yeah, we're going to need that up a little bit. So it's super simple. We either going long or short right now. Joseph, it doesn't seem to matter what the market is doing.
No.
The chat likes to go long.
The chat likes to go long, yeah.
Hey. Right now we got 64-36. Shout out to Bill Pruitt. Did I absolutely kill your name? And if I did, I apologize. Absolutely incredible, Neil. Thank you so much for the lesson. I appreciate you. My man is dropping the cash, $10 super chat. Thanks you very much, Big Bill. We're gonna call you Big Bill.
Oh, Big Bill, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, Big Kyle might want to fight him after that. Because last time I called anybody else Big Kyle tried to fight them.
Oh.
He's like, you don't give anybody else the big moniker.
Big
that's
Where is that guy
moniker
today?
right there. I don't know. He'll probably show up once we go red on the day.
Yeah, I thought he would have been
he's
here.
Usually, he's
right
usually
in early.
listening.
Yeah, he's definitely listening. So now that we mentioned him, we got that. So I know they were doing like the back call. We need the Big Kyle call now.
Oh yeah.
And Kyle signal.
We got to go up to the big desk though. Adair's got something for us.
And get out there.
I do, and once again, this is going to be not a super surprising headline. We have even more people reporting that Donald Trump does not want the TikTok ban to go through. The latest headline here coming from our friends at the New York Post, New York Times, saying that Trump is, quote, said to consider executive order to circumvent the TikTok ban. It just sounds like at this point they're re-reporting the story that Washington Post reported. Though it is worth noting once again, as Sharif mentioned this morning, it's actually very difficult for an executive order to ban something that's already been passed by Congress, especially because we don't actually have comments here yet from the Supreme Court on this ban. So this is still pretty much in limbo. At this point, though, it's worth noting we've had apparently a Trump advisor for the incoming administration saying that he wants to stop the app from, quote, going dark. There's a lot of evidence here suggesting that he does not want this ban to go through. So keep an eye on META and SNAP with that in mind, given that they were the biggest beneficiaries from that TikTok tailwind that Sharif has spoken about here. I also want to note here, we're actually having more confirmation hearings for Donald Trump's potential incoming cabinet. Today we have Scott Bessent, who sat here for the Treasury position. So position currently, held by Janet Yellen. And it is worth noting here, basically, he said that he wants the Federal Reserve to remain independent, but he's actually contradicted the comments of the Federal Reserve and a lot of other parties when it comes to the inflationary, effects of Donald Trump's policies. He said that he could not think of a single Donald Trump policy that would be inflationary or bring up prices. So that's actually pretty interesting there. Keep an eye on that. Again, we will continue to bring these hearings to you as long as they have market-related information coming out. And with that, we are brought to you by WorkSport. Introducing a new discovery on the NASDAQ, WorkSport, ticker WKSP. WorkSport is a U.S.-based manufacturer and rapidly expanding with glowing revenues, government contracts, and innovative green energy products designed to power your life off-grid. So whether you're on the move or if you're seeking sustainable energy solutions, Worksport has you covered. Now trading on the NASDAQ under WKSP. Discover the future of clean energy with Worksport. Back to you.
Joseph.
Yeah, I was sitting here in some NVDA, but nothing is inflationary. That is crazy. What a hot take that is. But yeah, guys, sitting in some NVDA here, slowly crawling higher, pulling back a bit now. I mentioned I don't know how deep this pullback was going to be. We didn't get the volume print that we were looking for necessarily to say, hey, we're actually going to turn around and kind of do a V shape. But here we are still slowly grinding higher. Look for it to run into some key resistance, now resistance and what was once support. So if we go and touch this level around 136.26, I look for those key levels, look how price reacts around there, and then reassess and see what how your thesis or your trade is working out. So that's what I'm going to do. That's the game plan. We're going to hold to 136.3s.
All right. FSI's recovered a little bit over here. From that $5 almost, well, it did technically break $5 by about 6 pennies, 7 pennies, right up back into that 5 1/4, basically where we had gotten in. So going to keep my eye out on that one. I don't like to take, obviously, opposite positions, but I'm short NVIDIA at this level because we dropped, Joseph, below 21.4 on the future. So I kind of felt that this was an interesting area to short the monster NVIDIA. And we've gotten a couple of prints out right now. I'm going to look to see if that 135 break is incoming. It doesn't look like it's incoming as quickly as I'd like. So we'll keep tabs on this one. It's kind of been, lower lows and lower highs right now on the future. I'm trying to base this look on the future. And then we come into the 10 exponential moving average on NVIDIA, and we kind of curl off there, kind of looking like that rounded top kind of effect. So we'll see what we get here with the monster NVIDIA. It's down 0.86. How many shares do I have on this thing? Okay. All right. Well, we'll probably wet our beak a little bit over here as well, and then we'll wait for that 135 break for the next out. So I won't be taking out anymore over here. Here comes 135. So I'm looking for this. There's size at 135. Okay, there it just bounced off 135. So got into there. There was decent size, not great, but decent size at that 135er. Let's see if that wants to give up the level. Here we go again. There it is. Good. So let's see what we can get now in the 88s. I'm going to wait at 88. Shout out to what's his name? Michael Irvin. So we'll look for that if it does want to come in. All right, let's go back to FSI. Still dilly-dallying right now with that 525. Nothing doing there, but I am happy that I didn't get stopped out of that one. So we'll keep an eye out on that. So not much going on other than the short that I have on. I'm not really going to give it much room above the $0.25. I've de-risked the majority of the position. If it wants to pop up there, then we shall take it out. NVIDIA looking strong right now, popping up off 135. Hammer candle hasn't closed yet, but it is looking like there is buying off that 135. And now as I look at the futures candle as well, it is also a hammer candle going back into 21,400. We dropped well below 21.4 all the way into 21,370, and now we're recovering about 30 points off that low, looking really good from a hammer candle perspective, but not definitive, because it's just one candle. So we'll keep an eye out on that one. Back to FSI, down it goes again. This one, there looks like they're selling at 5 1/4, 5 1/3, because as quickly as we made it up, as quickly as we're making it back down now. So we'll keep tabs on this one, see what comes of it. Joseph.
Hey, good luck there, my guy. I'm just going to edit something here just for the quote highlights. If we could pull up my chart, that'd be fantastic. So yeah, just there. So you can see. So I vary this. So these are just quote highlights on the L2, so you can see specific size. I like to throw that on in. It helps you determine an imbalance on the bid and the ask. All right. So I should probably make that a little bit smaller, but as of right now, as I change through tickers, that will vary too. So again, price, you might have to, if your platform allows you to do so, it's good to see an imbalance and a ladder that can be possibly built on either side, the bid or the ask, and that can determine, hey, is this bullish or bearish sentiment? So yeah, use those quote highlight guys. Darius Golden asked me as well too. He said, Joe, what's a good expiration for swing trades? And Darius, you and I have had this conversation before. buy as much time as you want, all right? Don't think about the fast buck. Just think about what the options contract can give you in that period of time, all right? So don't worry about trying to get those crazy percentage returns. Just focus on moderate, slow gains, I think, to start. Get some W's under your belt, but just buy the time. That's my opinion, right? Just buy the time. It's worth it, because I know when I was trading contracts, it's like, okay, yeah, you go a week or two or even a month out, but then you're off on your thesis because it's from a broader perspective. And then sure enough, you're like, oh, okay. And I say this time and time again is that, okay, once your trade starts to work out and you're like, well, why aren't I profitable? As well, because your contract got destroyed by theta and you don't want that. So buy the time, all right? So if you're looking in a week video, like a 1 to 2 week window, buy 3 months, buy 6 months until expiration. Once that price starts to appreciate and head toward it, in your favor, then that delta and then that gamma will start to pick up. So don't worry about that right off the jump unless you're selling far out the money. Is just buy that time and it's going to help you. And it's a lot less stressful as well too, just knowing that, okay, I don't got to worry about this like $45 pair of contracts that I have, so $4,500 that are going to expire worthless in 4 weeks. And it's like, okay, well, the stock's not moving, it's depreciating, and my contracts is just losing intrinsic value day by day, and you're losing extrinsic value day by day as well too. It's stressful. It's a derivative that you really need to get an understanding of. And with that, I think you'll get more of an understanding if you just buy more time. But let's see what Adara's up to.
Just keep an eye on Rumble, which is really strong today. RUM rumbling to the upside with about a 15% short float. I don't actually have a catalyst on this. They did get an upgrade apparently yesterday, but with Rumble, I want to note this is definitely viewed as a Trump sympathy play. It ran after the election alongside DJT and PHUN, and it has a more specific connection to JD Vance. JD Vance co-founded this firm, Naria Capital, and Naria Capital actually had a major investment in Rumble. This is as of late October 2022, but I believe they invested a little bit earlier. Regardless, Naria Capital actually has a seat on Rumble's board, and it was amongst the company's top 10 shareholders. Again, as of late October 2022, I can't find any more recent information. And JD Vance also reportedly at one point had a stake in the company, pretty small, valued around $100,000 to $250,000. So it is worth noting, I guess, because of that historic connection. Again, when I've looked recently, I can't find any definitive proof of his current involvement, but regardless, RUM viewed as a Trump sympathy play, specifically because of its connection to JD Vance. And we know we do have, A, a couple days before the inauguration, and B, we have all of these confirmation hearings going on right now with the Senate for Donald Trump's cabinet. So keep an eye on RUM popping to the upside with, again, that 15% short flow. Definitely worth noting, guys. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Dara. Someone was asking for updates on TSM Muscan. Yeah, they reported this morning, man. And by all accounts, it was a blowout quarter for them. We can talk a little bit about it. I got my notes from the morning set up on the side over here. So TSM kind of single-handedly brought up some other names with it, ASML, as well as AMAT, I believe, Lam Research as well. Neil was talking about that. So good look there. So I got my 88 fills on NVIDIA. I'm going to move